What's up, everyone? My name is Tara Platt, and you might recognize me from Persona, where I play Mitsuru. You're listening to Scott Clark and the Gaming Outsider.
What's happening, Gaming Outsiders? On this week's episode, Zack, Alyssa, and I discuss how long we think we'll be gaming and just how old is too old to be playing video games. In news, there's leaks about a PS5 Pro, and we have a trailer for Marvel's 1943 Rise of Hydra. You'll also hear my impressions of the remake of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and Rel stops by to share his impressions of Outcast, A New Beginning. This is the Gaming Outsider. Hey guys, Scott Clark with the Gaming Outsider here. If you're in the market for a new gaming chair, I've got a fantastic deal for you. We've partnered with eWin Racing, who produces the most comfortable gaming chair I've ever sat in. They've got them in sizes for all gamers, and the quality is simply incredible. As a listener of The Go, you can get 25% off your order if you use the promo code TGO at checkout when you visit ewinracing.com. You don't have to just take my word for it, however, as multiple members of our community have picked up a chair for themselves, and they love it just as much as I do. You won't be disappointed. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or on facebook.com/groups/thegocast, or even on our Discord server. There's a link for it in the show notes. Today is Sunday, March 24th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Zack Parkerson.
Well, hey, man. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm officially on spring break, so it's catch-up time for me.
Does that mean you watch March Madness? Is that how that works? Or I don't...
No.
Okay.
I don't know anything about college ball. I don't even know anything about professional basketball. I'm not a basketball guy whatsoever.
Oh, okay. Strictly football?
Strictly football, and I dabble in baseball, but I don't watch all the games. There's too many games, and I kind of pay attention in September. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
When things heat up.
Exactly. So I'm not I did a bracket once for March Madness, not knowing anything, and just kind of just guessed everything based on seedings alone, and I didn't do very well. So I don't think I'm gonna ever do that again. I thought, hey, maybe I'll be this awesome story of this guy that just never did it before, and his first time got a perfect bracket. I was busted in the first round.
Man,
so.
Reminds me of being a kid when my grandma would bring home those betting pools for football from work.
Yeah.
But I was 5 or 6, so I would just pick whichever team name sounded cooler for her.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Nice.
Fun.
Also joining us is Miss Alyssa White. How are you?
I'm okay now that I've seen you guys' handsome faces and listened to a little bit of K-pop beforehand.
Oh, good. Yeah.
If you're ever stressed, just, listen to K-pop, dance it out. Stress will go away.
Yeah.
Proven to work. Alyssa's guaranteed.
All right. Well, before we get going with the games we've been catching up on, got to give an update on speaking of March Madness, our March Madness sixth gen and previous platformers bracket. We are we're full on into the second round now. Our next matchup is Super Mario 64 versus Sonic 3. We've got Donkey Kong Country going against Super Mario World. Sonic 2 is going to be going up against either Yoshi's Story or Sonic Adventure 2. I think that's the current matchup as of this recording. And then Sly 2, Band of Thieves versus Super Mario Sunshine, and Jak 3 versus Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I feel like it's just going to come down to a Sonic versus a Mario game.
Yeah, I feel like that's inevitable.
Yeah, well, I guess Sonic would have to beat Super Mario Brothers 3 for that to happen. Because it's definitely, Sonic 3 is not going to beat Super Mario 64 or Super Mario World.
So it could be Super Mario versus Super Mario.
It could be.
That would be so disappointing.
Yeah, it'd be a tough matchup, but it would be interesting to see the results. That's for sure. So anyway, if you guys want to get in on the fun, Kevin has been posting Google Forms on the Facebook group and in our Discord server every day. And then, taking the votes, tallying the votes, naming the winner, and then posting the next one. And it's been a lot of fun. I kind of like this idea. I think we should stick with it each year. We can get some fun out of March Madness as well, even though we don't really follow it at all.
Would this be the Sweet 16 that we're down to now?
Well, yes. We're not quite to this.
The Elite 8 and then the Final 4. I'm educated is what I was sharing.
Yeah.
I can tell you're educated.
I think we're still. The one side is down to its 4, which would make the 8. So we still got to finish the one side. So it's still
right.
We're getting there. But anyway, let's
Fingers
talk about.
crossed. I want Jack 3 to beat Mario Brothers 3. I want that dream to happen.
Yeah. See,
I'll
it's
work
really
to make it happen for you, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I struggle with some of these because I haven't played all of these platformers.
Right.
So I feel guilty voting for it when I haven't played for the other game. So I tend to abstain if I haven't played both because I don't feel like that's right.
Again, it's very un-American of you, but I understand.
Yeah.
There's nothing
So-
more American than voting uneducatedly.
I mean,
yeah.
you got a point there.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to see how that wraps up, though. But anyway, let's talk about the games we've been catching up on, starting with Alyssa. How is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth treating you?
I'm loving it. I'm obviously not as far in as you guys. I can't even remember what chapter I'm in. I'm either in 4 or 5.
Mhm.
I don't want to say what has happened because I don't want to spoil anything.
Mhm.
I would tell you guys, but I don't know how to say it without spoiling.
You just say chapter 4 or 5. That's enough information
Okay.
for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I've actually come to enjoy Queen's Blood more than I thought I would.
Nice.
Just had to
That's
wrap
good.
my head around it, like all about positioning and
Right.
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry
I
about the
haven't touched
numbers
it.
so much as the positioning. At
Yeah,
least right
it-
now.
It's really not a card game. It's
No.
whatever. It's like a positional board game, I guess.
Right.
I do get frustrated when my cards, like, I get a lineup of cards that just, like, at the beginning do not help me at all to, get a head start on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, darn it, now I gotta do a rematch and hope I
Just
get
say-
the lineup perfectly.
Just pause and hit that sweet restart if you don't get the good starting deck.
I didn't know you could do that, and now I
I've
know.
done that. Yeah.
Okay, what
I've
was
done
the
that.
shortcut you told Zach about? Because I forgot about that. But
Oh, for the materia?
yeah,
When you go to the materia and equipment menu, if you just press the touchpad,
Mhm.
it actually shows all of the materia for every character, and you can swap them willy-nilly back and forth.
okay,
There.
yeah, that's gonna be helpful. Okay, thank you
Six.
for.
Game
Why-
changer.
It's wild they don't tell you that.
I know,
Yeah.
like, because trying to go through it separately is just like so much.
Yeah.
Even though you told me that amazing piece of information, Scott, I still I had already put like 30 hours into it, and I was used to the cumbersome way. So I was like, I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna old man this and just do it the way I know how.
I mean, that's
Even
how I
though-
usually do things. Even if people tell me an
Yeah.
easier way, I'm like, I got my own way now. I gotta do it.
I've been doing this for too long.
I've done.
I'm
that
not a
before.
young whippersnapper anymore.
What about you, Zach? How are you? You finish it?
I beat it.
You beat it.
It's pretty good. Took me,
Congrats, man.
God, it took me almost 60 hours, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And that was,
I'm about 65 right now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I did start not doing side quests because I couldn't risk a certain waifu liking me more than the other.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh.
So
I know which one you're talking about because I know who you go for.
So there's definitely side quests I had to dodge because when you complete them, you get your little affinity up or whatever.
hmm
Mhm.
So
There's
But
a couple I did skip, and then at one point when you open up the last area, it says, "Oh, there's new side quests in every region now." You can. I didn't touch any of those. But,
yeah, I had that little Final Fantasy 16 thing where you're ready for the ending, and it's
Yeah,
like,
and
hey,
it's
would
like-
you like 12 more hours of nonsense first?
You're right.
Here's some
Yeah.
filler before you
Right.
get to the end.
But at least the side quests in this game are more interesting and varied.
Significantly more interesting.
Yeah.
For one thing, your party members actually participate
That's
Yes,
true.
that's-
Yeah.
instead of Jill just following you around like a little puppy dog.
I am at the final boss. Like literally, the game is paused. I'm at the final boss. I was hoping to get it done before we recorded tonight, but
Man, I
According
wonder
to
who the
Zach, I
final
still
boss
have another-
is.
what's that?
I said, gee, I wonder who the final boss is of this game.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I can't even guess.
All right.
So
But
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that, and I cannot wait to record a spoiler cast because there's a lot to talk about, even more to talk about with this one than there was the last one. I feel like.
Yeah, but you're right, Scott. It was fun that it seemed like you thought you had like 5 minutes left, and you have like at least an hour left.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, lots of stages. Final
A lot of
boss, but-
phases. Well, and then you got like the 20 or 30 minute final cutscene to get through.
Yeah, so there's no way it's going to happen tonight, but oh well. We'll get it recorded by the end of the month, everybody. I promise. I will get you 2 pieces of content
How
for the
dare.
month of March.
Promising is dangerous.
I know.
It
We'll
is very
try.
dangerous.
Anything else you checked out, Zach?
Oh yeah, I picked up Midnight Suns on sale at Best Buy.
Oh,
So
all
through
right.
There it was like $15, dirt cheap. And then
I can't wait to hear what you think
Yes.
of this game because I've heard other people talk about it.
Oh, really? Well, the combat is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Very addictive, very exciting. The way the cards integrate is cool because each character you make a deck of only 8 cards, so it keeps things simple.
Mhm.
And then you have 2 redraws every hand anyway, so you're never like really in a bad spot. But the cards keeps things fast and keeps you on your toes because you can't always rely on the same old attacks every turn or whatever.
Right.
But so yeah, the combat is great. But if you're referring to when the characters start talking, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I just can't wait till you get to the book club segment. I want to know if you actually enjoy it or if it feels like fan fiction or something.
Well, your character feels like fan fiction because
Okay.
you're a brand new Marvel character, but all of the Marvel superheroes want to be your best friend.
Okay, yeah,
So-
that does sound like it.
It is definitely a self-interest. Like Captain Marvel, intergalactic god-like entity is like, man, you're just so good at everything. I wish I was as cool as you are, Hunter. I'm like,
Wow.
lady, you've taken down entire galactic empire single-handedly.
Yeah.
I just happen to be better at go fish
Yeah.
than you.
I mean, that's how I feel in real life when people tell me that they think I'm so cool. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're way cooler than I am. Like, you're Captain Marvel. I'm not.
Yes,
So,
you are. You're
yes,
Captain
I am
Marvel.
this character.
You are.
I am not cooler than you, Zack. See my problem.
Wow.
I am not cooler than Zack, by the way.
Or most ridiculous, last night we threw a surprise birthday party for the X-Men character Magic.
Oh,
But then she was too embarrassed about it being the center of attention. So her reaction is to escape into the dimension of limbo. And now I have to chase her through limbo because her best friend Nico is too embarrassed about having thrown the birthday party to go and talk to her herself. And you can even pick the dialogue of like, no, you should probably talk to her. You guys have known each other for decades. And she's like, no, this is just too hard. I need you. You can get through to her. Like, I met her 10 days ago. But sure, I will travel through the limbo dimension adjacent to hell because this girl feels too embarrassed about a birthday party. Yeah, that makes this is good.
It sounds like everything you hate about the Persona series wrapped up in a game that is centered around Marvel characters.
Yeah, that somehow features, adult these people, like Tony Stark. He's 40 years old. But he invites himself to shop class, but everyone's too embarrassed to be like, Tony, what are you doing here? We think you're just too smart to hang out with us in this shop class, this high school class we've put together of our own volition. It is some pretty goofy stuff. And I highly
hilarious.
Dude, it's pretty bad. The story itself is fun where like the Lilith, the mother of demons, is taken over in New York and she's kind of in control of Hydra. All that stuff is pretty fun. Because the characters will actually treat heavy moments with severity sometimes, which is kind of a change of pace for recent Marvel stuff.
Right.
You can't get through an MCU movie without a joke about like, well, how did that happen? But I'm addicted to the rhythm of the combat and using your next day to improve your cards or improve your friendships with these Marvel characters, because then that unlocks, team up attacks and stuff. And the combat, unlike most tactics games, the combat is so fast that it's really easy to play through. I assume this is what people have like when they play Slay the Spire, that kind of addictive
Yeah.
rhythm to it. That's what I'm feeling here, and it's a great deal of fun.
It's funny you say Slay the Spire. I actually I'm getting a new laptop, and when I purchased it, it came with 3 months of Apple Arcade.
Mhm.
And so I went in there to poked around, and like Slay the Spire is on Apple Arcade, and I like that game. So that'd be fun to have that mobile. So I haven't fired it up yet, but I've got it.
I mean, that game I think makes a lot of sense for mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that the combat in Midnight Suns is interesting from the perspective of you'll feel like you have lost completely, and then you just pull something off, and it feels awesome to come from behind and get a win. I don't know what that means. I haven't played it. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, that can happen, or you can pull the right card and line things up, or your turns have a lot. Like you want to play low level cards because it'll build the heroism meter, which let you play high level cards or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, if things come up in a way where like an enemy's like readying their next attack and it's going to do like 80 damage or whatever, but you can somehow pull off either stunning them or finish them off or redirecting them to a taunt to another character or something like that. And it feels cool when the card comes up, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's just such a I don't know, it's hard to put into words, but like every time I finish a battle, all I want to do is get to the next battle right away.
Oh, interesting.
So it is kind of like, yeah, a fun card game in that way.
Do you see yourself playing this for 100 hours like everyone is saying this game is taking?
I think it's going to take me a lot less time because I've started just skipping the dialogue in those hangouts.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to shave off a long time because the actual fighting is kind of a smaller chunk of the game than I would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the game is like hanging out in your Abbey home base and just talking to people, going swimming with Blade. Stuff like that. Oh, I love it.
And you have to do all that. You can't skip any of it. You have to do all this goofy stuff.
I guess I don't necessarily know if it's required because you're going to need those better cards and improved abilities for the later battles. So yeah, I guess it is required. It's just when I watched the movie Blade or read the comics, I didn't think that Blade was going to be the kind of guy too embarrassed to tell Captain Marvel he has a crush on her.
So let's start a book club.
So could you start a book club, or could you please talk to her for me? Blade needs me to do that. He fought Dracula, but he doesn't have the courage to be like, "Hey, girl, how you doing?"
I want to know who wrote this. If it was a female, she's doing it from like a perspective of he used to be a bad boy, but now he's not. That's a thing. So, if I want to know who wrote it.
I want to know if they were writing a different high school set game and they were like, hey, what if we threw some Marvel characters?
Just slap Marvel characters on there and call it a day.
That can't be the case because the combat abilities, every character's deck really does feel like them. And it's super cool. Like Captain America pulls a lot of like taunt, he'll take the fire away from his friends, and build up a lot of block with his shield, basically. Like there's a lot of smart things, or Wolverine can do a lot of chain attacks and just, tear through dudes. But when you're in those hangouts, you're like, this isn't even. I've read a lot of comics, guys, and I don't remember the Avengers ever being too embarrassed to talk to each other.
I have this game as well, Zach. It's sitting over here unwrapped. I bought it when it was on sale for like $20, and I haven't touched it yet. I don't know why.
It's fun, man. It is a lot of fun. You just have to ignore certain parts of it, I think.
I hear you.
But I think you would have a great deal, a good time with it.
All right, I'll keep it in mind. I won't unload it. Just hang on to it.
Yeah.
I did play a little more Baldur's Gate 3 this morning. Would you like to hear, my new thing that happened?
Yeah, give us the weekly update.
Oh yeah, dude.
We needed to have like a little stinger, a musical note for
we do.
Scott's Baldur's Gate 3 update every week.
I know, right? I'm still in Act 1. I mean, to be fair, I'm only playing, once a week.
Right.
With Kevin, like for about 5 or 6 hours in the morning. I literally got up. I was awake at 4:00 this morning, trying to get through as much of Final Fantasy as I could before he hopped on. And I still didn't make it. So anyway,
the perfect way to play a remake of a beloved classic, just rushing your way to the end.
I know. I was trying, but anyway, I faced my first legitimate boss fight in Baldur's Gate 3 today. Like, not just like a bigger enemy, but like it felt like a big deal. It wasn't just fighting like normal fighting, like taking blows and everything. You actually had to use the environment to your advantage. You had to use your environment. I guess I'm gonna, if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 and you want to know anything about the story, fast forward a little bit. Are you both okay if I explain what happens in this fight?
Yeah,
Zach?
I'm fine.
All right. So I was on a quest to find a forge. I had to forge some weapons or forge some equipment and collect material to forge in here. And I'm putting the materials in this forge, and I have like a mold for the type of weapon that I want to make, and I put that in there. And then next thing is you have to pull this lever to dump hot lava into there to be able to finish the forging. And then there's like a giant, you pull another lever, and like this massive piece of stone or metal comes and just smashes, like a forge would, like a giant hammer or whatever.
That's cool.
But when I start the flow of lava, all of a sudden this massive metal beast comes out. His name is Grim, Grym. It's got 300 hit points, which is a lot for me at this point. My characters have about 40 or 60, depending on their class. And there's no way you can whittle down this character's health with just like normal attacks. Especially because he is invulnerable unless he has just spent time in the lava. So when he's in the lava, it causes the metal on his body to soften, and that's when he is vulnerable.
It's like a little puzzle boss fight.
Right. But even then, you can't just whittle away. You can't get close enough to him to do melee damage, and you're not just going to run around the map and evade him. So what you find out you have to do is you have to lure him. Okay, so the way that this works is he will only follow the last person who attacks him. So he ignores everybody else completely except for the last person that attacks him. So you attack him, get him to follow you to go through the lava, and then once the lava dissipates, you have to have him chase you through the middle where the forge is, and you have to pull the lever of the forge to smash that giant metal hammer or whatever down on top of him. But even that only takes half of his damage. And so you have to do that whole procedure twice, which was, it doesn't explain that to you. It just drops you right into this fight, and you have to experiment and figure out that these things are still available to you even in the middle of a boss fight. And it was such a satisfying feeling getting that final blow on him, because not only did it feel cool to do it, but he also dropped a really good piece of equipment, and I was able to grab the equipment that I had just forged, and it just seeing this massive thing I took down just laying there crippled in the middle of this arena, that took like an hour to do, by the way.
Yeah.
It was just him. There was like maybe 4 or 5 ads. But man, what a fun time. And Kevin, like I mentioned, is so good about not giving it away to me. Like he's like trying to nudge me to do things, or like, hey, go examine the enemy and read this about him, and trying to get me to figure it out because he doesn't want to just like straight up tell me how to do it. You know what I mean? So I was able to piece it together, and then we started, and he had done it, obviously, but it was still fun for us to communicate. So I'm going to do this, and you're going to do this, and we coordinated all this. I'm going to have him follow me. You stand over by the lever, make sure you're ready to go. I'm going to turn invisible. Oh, by the way, take this potion of fire resistance, and it was just like this symphony of of battle commands and everything. It was just so much fun. And like I had to quit like right when we finished. So like I want to jump back in and continue exploring. But it's so fun because Kevin didn't tell me like, oh, there's something cool coming up. He just lets me experience it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's awesome.
So what a rare quality of person.
Yeah. Even like because it's my story technically. You know what I mean? Like we're playing on my character's story. So if he ever gets into like a dialogue where I'm not there, the game has a deal where you can listen in on somebody else's conversation. So if he accidentally starts a conversation that's going to require dialogue choices, he will stop the conversation and say, hey, I'm having a conversation with this person, come and weigh in, and I'll let you pick the dialogue choices. And I can recommend a dialogue choice to him, and then he just chooses whichever one I take. So he's a ton of fun to play with. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, Baldur's Gate 3, that was my weekly story. All this time, and I'm still not through Act 1. And there's like, 5 acts in the game or something like that?
I assume there were 3. Are there 5?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So I got a long way to go.
Because I feel like I've heard people be like, hey, I'm 120 hours in and finally got to Act 3.
Oh, okay.
That's my guess. If there's 5 acts, good. My thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yeah, right. We all know how well those do. All right, so that is my weekly Baldur's Gate 3 update. I'm sure I'll have more for you. I think with spring break, I told Kevin I might be available to play some during the week this week too. So maybe I'll get some more in, but we'll see. But let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Got a couple trailers to talk about. First off, a game called Void Rot. It's coming out on PC and Switch later this year. Got a trailer for that. Also, a trailer released this week for Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra, coming out in 2025, and it is written by Amy Hennig. That was all over the news. It looks like Kotaku is going through some pretty big changes. Also, Steam Families is officially a thing that is in beta over on Steam. PS5 Pro leaks are in the wild, but everybody's been talking about that. Not really sure what's real, what's not. And lastly, speaking of Baldur's Gate, Larian is actually moving away from the game after Baldur's Gate 3. They're going to be doing something completely different, and some of it sounds pretty interesting. Zach, Where would you like to start, sir?
I guess I'm feeling a little spicy. Let's talk about Kotaku.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because I almost didn't put this story on there because I was like, Zach's not going to want to talk about this. It's not really, gaming news just to talk about another publication. But
I guess not. But yeah, so Kotaku is going through some big changes. Their editor-in-chief Jen Glennon leaving the company after 5 years because of shift and prioritization from their owners. Is it Go Media? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, they have to write more guides essentially, and that news and features are less important. Which they need to write 50 guides a week apparently.
Oh,
it's a staff of 7 people. I read.
That's crazy.
yeah,
I assume
that's insane.
most of these have to just be like you look at what people are searching for about Hogwarts Legacy, and then you write like a 2-paragraph explanation on how to do something.
It's got to be. There's no way you can complete a game and write a full walkthrough.
Right.
At least I hope they're not expecting that.
Well, you couldn't even do one of those a week, let alone 50.
Right.
Yeah.
I just anyway.
I
always get Kotaku and the other one mixed up. Is this the one that was like there's like 2 sides of people that either love them or hate them? Is it Kotaku or is it the Polygon? Well,
I think this is kind of what I want to talk about Kotaku because I think everybody hates Kotaku.
Okay.
Have you ever met anybody who's like, yeah, I'm a huge Kotaku fan?
No, and like
No.
if you read stuff on Twitter, like all the comments are just like, "Is this site still alive?"
Yeah.
Like,
and they're always negative comments too. Like
yeah.
any article they publish on Twitter, the link or whatever, everyone's just piling on it.
Yeah,
Well,
this is
from what I see, they feel very clickbaity news articles. They don't really feel
Also,
like real
yeah.
news.
that's what I was going to get at because I know if you don't have anything nice to say, you're not supposed to say anything at all. But I think I'm going to make an exception this time. Kotaku's
You go
done
for
nothing but fanned the flames of controversy over every tiny little things in the game industry for almost like 10 years now. Because there was a time where they were actually writing news and articles and interesting stuff in the era of, say, Jason Schreier, Kirk Hamilton, and Stephen Totillo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But their handling of almost anything in the news has been so outrageously sensationalized, and I think has done a lot of damage to discourse online about everything in video games that I can't really react to this news in any other way than good riddance.
Right.
Because this is a tailspin, which they've been in for years now, obviously.
Right.
But if your directive is to like just give up on writing altogether and just put together these guides, with I assume the quality level of an AI generator, I don't like people losing their jobs. Luckily, it's only 7 people here. But dude, if Kotaku dies, I think that's better for everybody.
I'm not that type of person that's gonna like tap dance on the grave of Kotaku,
Yeah.
but I've
These guys
also
have
never
asked
read
for
it.
These guys are internet bullies, and they have been
Yeah.
for years.
That's a really
Mhm.
good way to put it.
And it's been kind of disgusting to watch. So so my heart can't break, but I just needed to. I think that this is their death throes, right? This is the end of the end, presumably.
I mean, I'm trying to understand why they think that's a good move to just do guides. I mean,
I don't know.
the article I read even said that they were making these writers write guides for games that were like 10 years old. Like, I understand some people are going to look some of that up, but that's not going to generate a lot of clicks, is it?
No, especially when you can go on YouTube and find someone playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I think it is also, unfortunately, a larger statement on games journalism in general. I don't think a lot of people are reading stuff. I don't think a lot of people read our stuff.
Which is sad.
Sure, but I think it's just because people want videos, they want TikToks. They don't want to have to read.
That's so
Right?
weird because like when I look up
Yeah.
a guide and all the
Yeah.
videos pop up first, I'm scrolling past them just like, can I just read an article?
I
don't
do
want
the
to like
same
scrub
thing.
through a video. Am
I'm
I
with
old?
you.
Is that like an old guy thing or
Well, I mean, I'm 31 and I do that, so I mean,
yeah?
well,
Yeah,
I think some people consider 31 old.
I think
But-
we're old. We're older.
We're
Right?
old souls. at
Yeah,
least.
Sure.
we're old
But
souls.
I think most people, do want the video. I mean, I feel like the numbers bear it out, or else, so many of these websites would still be around. When was the last time you heard about Giant Bomb? What are they up to? They're still around.
Right. I did. Speaking of Giant Bomb, I did go back and listen to some episodes of Nextlander recently. With Vinny and Brad.
Right.
I miss Vinny and Brad. I could listen to those two. I think I'm gonna.
On Alex as well. Right?
Not to promote another podcast to turn people's attention, but they are a good listen to, and they still do the Giant Bomb thing where they talk about non-game stuff at the beginning for a little bit, but it's not egregious.
Do they still have the rule on that podcast where they all have to have played the game in order to talk about it?
I don't know. I did. They don't mention it, but it sounds like every game they're talking about, they all have played. No, that's not true because somebody was playing the WWE or something, and
that was a rule when they started, but it was kind of frustrating because like a WWE, for example, if only one of the guys played it and the other two played it just because they had this rule in place that they all had to play it. I'm like, yeah, but you don't care, so like your opinion is kind of worthless here,
right?
But anyway, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. I guess it's kind of an indictment on games journalism that those guys had to leave Giant Bomb and do their own thing. But I think Kotaku do you know any of the writers at Kotaku? Did you know who Jen Glennon was?
I didn't.
No, I did not.
So
I'm not even sure that I knew Jason Schreier was at Kotaku, to be honest with you.
That's where he started.
Yeah, I realized he started there, but then he moved to Bloomberg, but I don't know who Jen Glennon is.
Exactly.
He's only been there 5 months, right?
5 years?
5 years, yeah.
5 years? Oh, I misread. Right. I thought it was 5 months.
Oh, you wrote 5 years.
Did I? Okay. I think the article. Maybe I wrote 5 years.
I don't know how long
very
she's
quickly
been
today.
EIC there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But oh boy, now you're making me look foolish.
No, it's my fault. I wrote years on the format and stuff.
I just didn't remember how long her tenure was. I know Patricia Hernandez was EIC before her, but yeah, I don't know. This is not a breaking piece of news. I don't think what I'm saying is of course they want them to write guides rather than articles because nobody's following these writers. So why would anybody read their features or articles, especially when most of the articles are just basically about how this group of people are bad. How dare people play Harry Potter games? And you just rail on that.
The best-selling game of the entire year. They had a great effect on that.
Or do you guys remember their PlayStation 5 review?
No.
Dude,
I don't recall.
Their PlayStation 5 review had maybe a paragraph on the PlayStation 5, and then it was just a diatribe about how dare we be excited about a piece of technology while our world is crumbling apart.
That's what everybody wants to read.
And it talked about the 2016 election for some reason, something that happened 4 years before the PlayStation 5. Dude, it is a wild read. And you're like, well, I just wanted to see if the PS5 was worth buying. I didn't want to read
someone's Facebook post.
I didn't need to hear about democracy itself being torn apart.
Yeah, games are my escape, guys. I think the one that stood out to me was there was an article, I believe it was Kotaku, that was during the release of Rage 2, and it was someone that was complaining about a character that was a villain that had a cleft lip.
Oh, that was Polygon actually, but
was it Polygon? Okay.
They're the same. They have the same mindsets.
Gotcha.
And about how you shouldn't have villains with cleft lips.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I am shocked you picked that story. I thought that was one we were gonna gloss over.
I guess I feel like I'm normally a nice guy, but just this once, I wanted to tap dance on a grave a little bit.
Wow.
I like this side of you, Zach.
I do feel like they made the industry worse, and they seem to revel in that, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I just think they did a lot of damage.
Speaking of using your platform for things, did you happen to see Alana Pierce's speech at the Game Developer Conference?
I
didn't see it, but I saw the written version of it.
Okay, like the transcript?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the entire thing. I just watched the 2-minute clip that she posted on Twitter, and wow, she called out some people with the layoffs and everything, and what's happened to the industry. Zach, I think you in particular would find it pretty entertaining. So check that out. Anyway,
Ben Starr, Clive's voice actor, somebody asked him how they felt about the incredible year of 2023 or whatever, and he was just like, "It wasn't an incredible year. Thousands of people lost their jobs."
Right.
Yeah. Good for these people. Someone's got to.
Yeah.
No, someone's got to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
No one's listening to me talk about layoffs, so a lot of
There
fears.
are dozens of people listening to us.
There are at least 6 people who listen.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I always listen to both of you guys, so.
Aw. Well, Alyssa, speaking of you, which story do you want to talk about?
I guess I'll talk about PS5 Pro leaks being in the wild.
Okay.
It starts off with asking, why is professional leaker a thing? Which when I read that, professional leaker just conjures up a different image than, leaking PS5 Pro info.
Professional leaker, I believe that's Randy Pitchford's search history.
Wow, dude. Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm the one that brought that up.
Those opinions expressed by Zack Parkerson may or may not reflect those of the Gaming Outsider and its subsidiaries.
Also, Alyssa White was being naughty, so...
No, I just think it's funny that this is like a job title or description at this point. Someone is a professional leaker, which, I mean, I guess technically that's true, because if you get information and you put it out on your YouTube page and it generates a lot of views,
well, yeah,
you're going to make money on it.
Right, it doesn't even have to be true.
Yeah, but it does have to be true. And
no, it doesn't. It does not have to be true.
It doesn't have to be true.
You could just be wrong more often than you're right, and everyone will still click on your next video for some reason.
And you'll still get paid for it. I mean, you'll get backlash after, but you got paid.
It doesn't. I don't feel like they do get backlash anymore. I feel like people just forget. Or something.
It's kind of like a slap on the wrist, and then people forget.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like people don't worry about accurate news anymore. They just hear the news that they want to hear.
Yeah.
More sensationalist news than anything.
Which is crazy, because this isn't like out there news. This all seems like kind of what we would have expected from this kind of thing. But
well, going back to the actual news, the leak promises 4K resolution with 120 frames per second frame rate and 8K resolution with 60 frames per second frame rate. Sony has an investigation going to try to uncover who let the cat out of the bag. The leaker in question has been wrong before, so this is still technically a rumor.
I love that. This leaker's been wrong. Anyway, here's the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This has been corroborated by other sources as well, though.
Yeah. That's why I went ahead and stuck it in there. It's just not been officially, announced by Sony. So
because who had it first? Was it Moore's Law is dead?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. And then Digital Foundry said that they had heard the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they would probably be in the best position to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I trust them more than I do a random YouTube page that this is the first time I've heard of them. Granted, I'm not a YouTube follower at all. So,
Digital Foundry does great work. I regret that they ever existed because of what they've done to what they've done to video game conversations.
That was your thing on Twitter. You said make a bold claim or something. You're like, Digital Foundry is the worst thing to happen to video games.
Dude, yeah. They're certainly not a good thing that's happened, which sucks because those guys seem nice and they do good work. Yeah. But it's the fact that like everyone just takes their videos as gospel and they're like, well, I'm not even going to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because the draw distance isn't what I thought it should be. I'm like, do you think you would have ever noticed if you didn't have this video to show it to you?
Yeah.
Because I doubt it.
Well, what's interesting is reading these specs. All I was thinking was, boy, those specs sound pretty good, but I know Zack isn't going to buy one. He's already regretting buying a PS5 at all.
I was going to say, where are the PS5 games? What do I need this Pro for?
Right. And plus, like, 8K resolution. Who has an 8K TV?
And also, can't the human eye only detect 4K? It can't go beyond that, right?
8K is a limit that I had
8K.
heard. So
when 4K. But
when you inevitably get to when they start whipping out 12K Blu-rays, they are just lying to you.
Yeah, that's just a way for them to make more money.
Yeah. Or maybe they're not lying, but it doesn't matter to you because your human eye cannot tell.
So we have nearly reached the peak of things on TV looking as good as they can, and then it just cannot get any better.
Yes.
Without going into full 3D holodeck type stuff.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But the thing that cracks me up is like when I read comments on this stuff, people are like, "Oh, day one, I'm there," and I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah, these people just have more money than sense, right?
Yes.
I understand getting excited for new tech, But I don't understand how you've been playing PS5 for 4 years and thought, boy, these games really are pushing the very boundaries of this console.
Right.
All these PS4 games I'm playing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to linger too long on that because, again, it's not official, but I'm sure, by the time this episode comes out, it probably will be official.
Would you guys buy a PS5 Pro?
No.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine. Like I really almost feel like I didn't need the Series X. I say that now, but I'm so spoiled with that thing and its speed and its load times.
Mhm.
Like I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 with Kevin and he's on an S and his takes significant, like, we're obviously starting at the same time and I'm in the game and his is still loading. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it would be enough. It would be fine. You know what I mean? But
yeah, well, especially with this S is like $100 so often.
yeah,
It's
just a
no-brainer.
So I don't know. I'm fine. I'm fine with the way the graphics look now. I don't need them to look any better. You know what I mean? Like when we were in the 16-bit era, and we went up to PlayStation, or we were in PlayStation, and we went up to the more modern consoles. Yeah, those jumps looked awesome, and I had to play on that new stuff. But nowadays, like the controllers are mostly the same. The games still play the same, and I don't know. I feel like even when we jump to the next generation, I say this now, right? Like I don't feel like I'm going to jump right away unless there's something that you can only play on that platform. I just don't see that being. I don't see myself being pushed, and I clearly don't want the PS5. And if there's an Xbox Series X Pro, I'm good, man. I don't need. I'm not saying this just because it's Sony. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just
Yeah.
we are finally getting to games that are only on PS5, like FF7 Rebirth or Final Fantasy 16, I guess. But it took 4 years. Like we're Sony hasn't even made PS5 exclusives outside of Returnal.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I've also got over here unwrapped.
I guess Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, but I'm not counting Demon's Souls because that was a PS3 game.
Right.
But
I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't get it. It just feels like a cash grab, and it just feels like people wanting to be able to say they have the newest thing, and I just need to get over that myself.
Has PlayStation hit like it brand status, where like they just have like such a stranglehold now that it doesn't really matter what they do?
But they just start releasing multicolored PS5s and sell,
I guess like a Nintendo or an Apple or somebody like that. Where it doesn't
pretty much.
Is that where they're at now?
I guess so.
Yeah.
They've been on top for a while. So
except for the PSVR 2, of course.
Right. Well, I want to talk about these new trailers we got up here. Void Rot, first off, caught my eye. I put it on there because it looks amazing. It looks like a Scott Clark game, 2D gear-gated game. Really cool looking graphics. I just want to play that game. But the big one that everybody was talking about is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, which do we know this was coming, or was this a big surprise? I don't remember this being announced.
This was previously announced.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first time
it was. I felt like it was. I felt like Amy Hennig was attached to a Marvel project, but we didn't know Did we know what the story was going to be?
We didn't have a name. All we knew is that it was Captain America and Black Panther during World War II. That's all we knew.
Oh, so this isn't based on like a comic series or anything?
No, it's not that I have read.
Oh, I just assumed. I thought this was like an arc in the comics.
I believe it's an original story. I believe.
Wow. Is anybody else getting? Oh man, what's that game that was like not cyberpunk, steampunk?
The Order.
The Order 18.
Yeah, dude. I did get some Order vibes.
And I don't know. Is it just like the way the characters looked, or the way the mocap was, or something? It just looked very much like that game.
Finally, a game has caught up to how good the Order 1886 looked.
Right. Man, what a good game that was.
It was
good. It was I didn't even care that it was 4 hours.
I
loved it.
It was fascinating.
Are you guys excited for this game?
I can't tell. I can't decide yet
because they didn't show any game, right?
No,
right.
I mean the trailer itself looks amazing, but again, we don't know the gameplay or anything of that nature.
Yeah, it looks cool. but I can't say I would be interested if Amy Hennig wasn't attached.
That's true.
Oh,
Also.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me a little bit is I also got a little vibes from the first time I saw the trailer at E3 for Avengers, where like, oh, I'm seeing these Marvel characters that I know very well, but they don't look like, because they don't have the same actors playing them that they did in the movies.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So like I'm seeing a different Black Panther, I'm seeing a different Captain America, although they look, very much the part. So like there's something in the back of my head that's just going, oh man, I got burned by Avengers pretty bad.
Yeah.
I say that and I haven't played it. I just went off of your review of it, but still.
T'Challa's grandpa. I don't know. That seems like a fun way to explore Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the premise is cool, but we also got I feel like we got 19 Marvel games coming.
So we got Wolverine, Blade.
Yeah, Wolverine, Blade.
Venom.
Venom.
Yeah.
We know Venom's coming because of the leaks.
Yeah, the leak.
We have Iron Man. We have the open world Iron Man game, the open world Black Panther game coming.
Give me an Iron Man open world game. That sounds great.
Yeah, I think exploring an open world Wakanda sounds cool.
Oh yeah, dude, totally.
Up around the skyscrapers and stuff. That sounds interesting. But I just feel like there are a lot of these. There's a lot of these happening.
I agree. Anyway, we got a long way. That's 2025. So, but it was cool to see that, and I think Amy Hennig's name attached to it is going to do that game a lot of good because we haven't seen anything from her in a while, right?
Yeah, not since her last shipped game would be Uncharted 3.
Yeah.
She hasn't shipped a game in 14 years.
That is nuts.
Things keep getting canceled from under her.
That's true.
I do briefly want to mention also this Larian, I don't know if you call it news, but they were talking about it at the Game Developers Conference, that they canceled DLC for Baldur's Gate 3, which I don't know why that game needs it. That game is 400 hours. But they're also not planning a Baldur's Gate 4. According to the dev, their next game will be different than what you think it is, but it's still familiar. Rumors were that it was gonna be Divinity Original Sin 3, but they said it's not gonna be that. So they're moving away from Dungeons and Dragons entirely, leaving the IP under Wizards of the Coast control. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I can't imagine them doing anything other than this style of game. But if you're gonna stray away from Dungeons and Dragons, are you gonna do your own thing? Like, there's so many different tabletop IPs out there, right? Could they just do the same formula? Like, I mean, are the multi-sided dice owned by Wizards of the Coast? I don't know how that works. You know what I mean? Could they just do like their own thing and their own powers? I don't know.
Yeah, they could certainly do that. I think that this is top to bottom good news, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Good for them. They can take the insane money they just made from Baldur's Gate 3 and do their own thing. Not have to give Wizards of the Coast any cut this time. That's probably a pretty sweet deal to them. Because now
I read Hasbro made like $89 million
right
off
for just
of
licensing it. Yeah,
and they didn't do anything. Like,
well, it's their IP, I guess. But I'm not sure anybody. Are there people, who bought Baldur's Gate 3 just because it was Dungeons and Dragons associated? I don't feel like that. I feel like people bought it because they saw an exciting new RPG.
I think there's some of both, because I think people saw a way to be able to play Dungeons and Dragons without having to get together with your friends in person and do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, is the D&D universe key to selling that to people?
I think that percentage is pretty small. Of the group of people that I've played it, they do know it, but they never talk about it in a way where it's like about the universe. It's about how awesome the gameplay is and the freedom that you have and the fun it is to play with other people.
Right. That's what I was wondering, because I feel like it got sold more on like this is the closest you can have to a video game representation of a tabletop RPG.
Right.
Because you can do everything.
I hope they do something just on their own, like a whole new thing that's not based on another IP.
That's what I hope as well, because I think people are going to be paying attention to the name Larian from now on.
Right. So because one of the things that kind of bums me, like even when we play the actual tabletop, is everybody at the table who's been playing D&D for years knows what some of these enemies are that we're fighting. And for me, that kind of takes away from, the new factor for me. It's like, oh, you guys already know what we're facing. You know this side storyline, and you know what that thing is that just flew over us. I want to go into it where we all are brand new. You know what I mean? We are all brand new to this universe, don't know anything, and we're learning it together instead of them pretending like they don't know what's going on, but having a smirk on their face the entire time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do some. Maybe they'll just go into sci-fi, do a sci-fi version of it, just go crazy.
I want like a tabletop type thing where it's just not even. It's not even in a fantasy sci-fi, this crazy thing. Just make it everyday life, like like a schoolyard or something where like Bully as a tabletop RPG. Where you're getting into fist fights and stuff, or I don't know, just everyday life stuff. I mean, I don't know how you would do that with like gear and how many times are you getting into fights, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine that in like modern day world.
Right.
Yeah.
You could do some kind of like mafia style game with that or something like that.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have like, what would you do for big bosses? You know what I mean? Like
Down Lieutenant, yeah. I guess you're not going to be going after anybody's weak point if you're just fighting humans.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. But maybe it's just something I've always kind of wanted, just like a regular old people. Or like, modern days and aliens invade or something like that. You know what I mean?
That'd be cool. Yeah.
It would be, yeah.
You're right. That would be kind of different for this genre.
Mm-hmm. Just because, the fantasy thing, it's just been done. You know what I mean? I know there's lots of other tabletop RPGs. I know there's ones based on the Alien movies, which, you get pulse rifles and stuff like that, which would be rad. But, you're going to come back to that licensing issue again that they're doing with D&D. So,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe Fox is cheaper. Well, I guess it's Disney now. So
yeah, it is Disney.
It will not be cheaper.
Let's go ahead and move on and remind everybody about our Patreon subscriptions. If you'd like to get some bonus episodes or maybe get the episodes a day earlier than everybody else, you could do so by signing up over at patreon.com/thegocast. The $1 tier gets you the episodes a day early. $3 tier gets you a bonus episode, and the $5 tier gets you 2 bonus episodes. And we really do appreciate the support. It helps us to pay for the hosting services and all that. And right now you can listen to our latest Peace of Mind episode. That's where Zack, Alyssa, and myself sit down and talk about whatever is on our minds. That is not necessarily video game related. It's usually a little bit R-rated. Zack loves Patreon episodes because he can swear as much as he wants.
Sure.
And he does it right out the gate. We also did a Meet the Patrons episode with my Friday night crew, Christina, CJ, and Joel. That was a lot of fun. And as I mentioned earlier, Zack and myself are going to be meeting with Brandon Smith to do a spoiler cast for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as soon as I finish it. Kevin and I are planning a trade-off episode of Paper Mario on Nintendo 64 and Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, a JRPG on Dreamcast that I've never played and he loves. And then at some point, I'm going to finish Sands of Time so we can talk about that, and I'm going to convince Zack to play the Lone Ranger on NES. Now that Rebirth is done, that should be doable. Yes?
Yeah.
No?
You should. Yeah. You finish Sands of Time. We'll do that, and then we can do the Lone Ranger after.
No, we should do them both on the same episode.
The same episode. Oh my gosh! You're trying to spoil these people.
Yeah. They would do it. But anyway, the website again is patreon.com/thegocast. We really do appreciate your support. Now let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. Boy, Zack, this is a very small list of new games coming out this week.
Yeah, light week. All the heavy hitters at the end of the fiscal quarter have come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I could really only find Deceit 2, which is coming to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles April 3rd. Sonic-style 2D platformer Freedom Planet 2 is coming to all consoles April 4th. And then Turbo Golf Racing comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC April 4th. And that's really all I could find, guys.
Yeah.
I think the industry knows people are still trying to wrap up Final Fantasy VII and Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma 2.
I was just going to say Dragon's Dogma 2 just came out as well. And
people seem to be eating that one up.
Although I keep hearing negative things about it in terms of performance and microtransactions, but I can't speak to it personally.
Yeah, well, if it's like all other Capcom microtransactions, they will be totally useless.
Right.
Stuff you would get in the game 1,000 times over anyway.
Hey, fair enough. But
what about these 3 games, Scott? Which one would you want to play?
None of them.
Sweet.
I am. I'm backlogging it up this week. I'm going to finish Final Fantasy. I got a lot of reviews to write this week, and if I do jump into anything, boy, like I said, I got to finish Sands of Time. I don't know. I just need
right.
to kind of need to relax, but nothing here interests me.
What about you, Alyssa? Nothing for you either, I assume?
Yeah, nothing here. I'm just gonna stick with the games I need to finish.
Yeah, I assume I'll continue to be sucked into Midnight Suns, but Freedom Planet 2 looks good. However, I've seen Freedom Planet 1 on sale a dozen times and never picked it up, so whatever.
I will say, Zach, I did. I made a stupid purchase this week because they were on sale. I picked up the Vanquish Bayonetta collection.
Oh yeah,
on Xbox because it was like $10, and I was like, I've really wanted to give Vanquish another shot. And then I also picked up the remake of 13.
Oh, okay.
Because people talk about that game very highly, and I never played it. So
a remake so bad they had to remake the remake.
Yeah. So again, I keep collecting games. That, and I bought Puyo Tetris 2 or something like that because it was $5.
Puyo Tetris is so fun.
Yeah. How do you turn down a $5 game that says Tetris on it? Like
it's basically so you paid $5 for Vanquish then, because it's $10 for the 2-pack.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Bayonetta's there too. Like maybe I could learn how to play that game because I'm terrible at that game.
Bayonetta is very hard.
Yeah.
Vanquish is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love where you can slide around.
Yeah, you slide around, you smoke.
Right, a lot of slow motion. Yeah, any game with a dedicated smoke a cigarette button is fine. Is pretty cool by me.
Yeah, it was on. I remember that in Metal Gear Solid. Couldn't you equip cigarettes to Snake?
Yeah, to show lasers while you're sneaking around, but also it hurts you. It takes away your health, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, because like you can light a cigarette, but you don't have to smoke it. Like, I don't know.
No, to see the lasers, you mean?
Yeah,
but then he wouldn't look as cool.
I know. Yeah, I
know. But speaking of game, I guess another game you had to barrel through. I'm sure it hurt interrupting your Final Fantasy with Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake. But this one on an Xbox Series. Did this game need the remake?
No. This is one that the reason I decided to review it is because I enjoyed the game. What did it come out in 2013? I think the original.
I feel like I played it on my 360.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did as well. And I really liked it, and it was just like I wouldn't mind going through and playing it again. And I did. I did it basically in 2 sittings because it's only about 3.5, 4 hours long. It's much easier and much shorter than I remember. I remember struggling with it because if you guys haven't played this game, it's a game where you play 2 characters at the same time. One brother is play with the left stick, and one brother is play with the right stick, and each of their action buttons is,
if you will.
Yes. Each of their action buttons are the triggers. And it gets a little squirrely. You know, if you don't keep the brothers on the right side of the screen and you try to move them, I feel like I'm learning how to play video games for the first time. But here's what I'll say, though, is that when I play most remake games like this, I look at the game and I go, yeah, that's how I remember it looking. This is an instance where the game looks better than I remember it looking. Now, does a game like that need to look like that? I would kind of argue no, because this was a game that was all about the storytelling and the novel gameplay mechanics. But the fresh coat of paint on this is very, very welcome. I don't know. The gameplay doesn't feel like it's tweaked, but again, it's been 10 years since I played the original. But the only real noticeable difference that I see, and maybe it's just because I don't remember it in the original, is they have a pretty big trigger warning at the beginning of the game, talking about this game has cases of dismemberment and people dying, and they give a link to like if you're ever thinking about hurting yourself. So I don't remember that being in the original, but I could be.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, but has nothing to do with the game. But it looks really pretty. I don't know if you remember the scenes where you can like sit on a bench and just kind of survey the land and take a look at it.
Oh yeah,
Those look genuinely gorgeous. Like overlooking, you can actually see like where you just were. Like if you remember, there's one section where there's a dog that's chasing you, and you have to like climb up on top of these giant bales of hay, distract him with the other brother, and kind of work your way across.
Yeah.
So when you work up towards the top there, you can sit on this bench and just overlook, and you can still see the little dog down there running around. pretty clearly. Like I remember being able to see it originally, but it's just very detailed. But again, you know, if you've already played this game, I don't feel like I'm going to sell you on paying for it again. But if you have not played Brothers, it is definitely worth a playthrough. Just keep in mind that it is very short, and it is dark.
Mhm.
It is way darker than I
Well,
used.
that's why I'm kind of disappointed about the. Is there not a solution where a game could just say, "Would you like to see the trigger warnings for this game?" You know,
Yeah, because in a way they do spoil it.
Yeah,
Like
They-
I understand the importance of trigger warnings, but
Right.
also they do spoil things.
yeah, and I'm not as spoiler sensitive all the time, but it is just kind of like the tone of the game. I think is somewhat not spoiler. Like it's fun. It's part of the fun of the surprise.
Mhm.
Right.
It's how dark this game or other games are. So the trigger warnings kind of give that away. So, but isn't there a way to accommodate everybody by just saying like, "Hey, would you like to see them?"
Yeah, I'm sure someone would argue that, well, everybody needs to see this, because people would just click through it and not do it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
There's got to be
But-
some personal responsibility in there.
Really? I'm not gonna go down that.
Yeah.
I guess
But,
I'm in a spicy mood today. Again, I'm pro trigger warning.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, why can't it be an opt-in thing? That's all I'm asking.
I agree.
Right.
And I did play a game. I can't remember what game it was now, but I did play a game that had the trigger warnings, but you had to choose to click on it. Like, it didn't
Yeah.
show it to you. I can't
That seems-
remember the game now. It was recent,
Well, shout out to them.
but I
But
was
even
like,
if you know
yeah.
there's a trigger warning, even like that is like, oh, there's something in this game that I don't. You know what I mean?
But that is loose enough to where you'd be like, oh, that's intriguing. I wonder what that's about.
Right.
Well, also,
But if
it
it's
can
tr- but
be
if it-
helpful. You guys know my phobia, so sometimes if I do go to the trigger warning list, it'll be listed there so I can get prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, no, that's why I think they
Yeah.
are great for people that want them. I'm saying like maybe the game opens with one of the first things before you get to the main menu. It's like, hey, do you want to see the trigger warnings?
Yeah.
So that way you can't miss it, and you can still be asked. I don't know. This has nothing.
Maybe
to
it
do
could just be a setting on your console, like how you can have.
Oh, that's interesting.
Invert your controls
Mhm.
like automatically for every game. You just automatically have it inverted.
Uh-huh.
You could just have it something that you choose. Like when you set up your console, do you want trigger warnings to be in your games or not? That would
Yeah,
be
that's
the way to do it. I don't know.
But, yeah.
Anyway, it is. It's not what you think. And some of the if you remember the sections with the giants, like that is
yeah.
pretty gruesome, and like you're doing some pretty messed up stuff, and it's just. I mean, you're talking. You're two boys. Like
Right.
one of them is like I want to say like 7, and the other one's maybe 11 or 12. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a good game to go through. I enjoyed it. So I believe it was. It's not developed by Avant Garden. They just did the
No,
port.
The remake, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was originally Hazelight,
Yeah,
right?
it's,
Yosef Sara.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was actually Hazelight at the time. It might have been wherever he was. But this is the predecessor to A Way Out and It Takes Two.
Right. Which I was reminded. While I was playing it, I was reminded of you and me playing through.
It
It Takes Two, and just this game does it just at a smaller scale of like you're never doing the exact same thing for very long. You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that there is so much work that's been done on these environments that you just walk through. I mean, you just walk through them. You know what I mean? And just the high level of detail is impressive. I really, I did enjoy it. So shout out to 505 Games for hooking us up with a copy of that. I think I want to go through it again and clean up the achievements because they don't seem that hard.
There you go. Remember when we wrote that awesome co-op review for It Takes Two?
I thought that was so much fun. It was a fun idea.
So clever.
Yeah. Oh, what else was I gonna say? Did the original allow you to play it 2-player? Where like
I
I
don't
could
remember it.
No.
I
So they
think you had
actually-
to play it yourself, like with the separate sticks, the separate triggers by
So
yourself.
this
I
one
would-
has co-op mode in it.
Oh.
So maybe that is what's new. I didn't play it.
Because I was about to argue it's actually kind of important that it's not co-op.
Yeah, that was the whole one of the draws to the original game was it was a unique gameplay mechanic.
Right.
I I mean, I'm kind of like, why would you want to play it? Because then it's just, one stick and one button for like pretty much the whole game. And
Right, that's true.
and could you imagine trying to communicate with somebody like the sections where you have to swing and time the grabbing, and so not only are you having to time everything yourself, but you have to rely on somebody else to time it as well. That just sounds maddening to me.
Well, the narrative the narrative expects you to be one person in control of two people,
Right.
without giving anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that just adding co-op to this game feels bizarre. Other than to make the trilogy of co-op games by Josef Fares complete, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very weird.
It's not the surprise twist at the end, like of A Way Out, where we pit the brothers against each other.
Right. Yeah.
But the other really cool thing about this game, which is not anything different, you don't hear any actual English spoken in this game. I can't tell if it's a real language they're speaking, because some of it sounds Russian, some of it sounds Spanish to me. But I don't want to say it's made up, because maybe I'm just ignorant to other languages. But you don't actually understand. You're just hearing a voice, and they are emoting. So this entire game is telling a story just through emotes, unless you speak whatever language it is that is there, which I just think is really well done.
Because they don't give you subtitles, my assumption would be that it is made up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. It could have been
I've always thought it was made up.
Yeah.
Maybe they're speaking Simlish.
Yeah. Similar to Simlish.
I don't know what Simlish is, but
when you play The Sims, that...
Oh, yeah. No, because they actually used some of the same words. Like when he's calling his brother, he's calling him by his name, or it seems like he's calling him by his name.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they're saying yes, he actually says da, which I believe is yes in Russian.
That is correct.
So that's why part of it felt like Russian, but
maybe I am mistaken.
I could be mistaken as well.
I'll have to look it up. I can't confirm nor deny either way. So
well, thanks for being here.
Well, it didn't seem crazy important to look up, but anyway, I've got another review for you real quick. I sat down with Rel, and he talked about a game that, Zach, I think you're going to be interested in. So I'm going to play that for you right now. Well, hello there, Rel. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm staying out of the rain.
You're getting a lot of rain out there. We just got dumped on with a bunch of snow. So we got 6 inches of snow first day of spring break. So
not jealous.
I love the weather. Yeah, I bet you're not. I am a little jealous of you, though, because you get to play this game that you're reviewing for us called Outcast, A New Beginning. The developer is Appeal Studios. It's published by THQ Nordic and was provided to you by Sandbox Strategy. So shout out to those guys for hooking us up with a copy. Boy, this game came out of nowhere for me. I feel like I hadn't really heard of this one. It just kind of dropped, but it looks pretty cool. And I know you love to zoom around in a wide open environment and just kind of fly. So is that as much fun as it looks in the trailer?
Yes. It also came out of nowhere for me, because just one day I didn't even see the trailer on the Go Discord. I saw it just somewhere else entirely, and I thought, wow, that game looks cool. And then you said, oh, hey, I can request this game. Yes, please.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's not like Pure Flight, right? The one game that I've never seen anyone make is a open 3D world with just Superman-esque flight where you can just fly everywhere and explore everything. I've never seen that. There's always either gliding like in Tears of the Kingdom, or jetpacking, or just something else. Never actual flying. This game comes close, though.
Okay.
The thing is, it's also a sequel, but sort of not, because it's Outcast: A New Beginning, but there was an Outcast game back in, I think, the mid-2000s that nobody really played.
I've never even heard of it, so I was going to feel bad for a second, but...
And then it got remade, for modern audiences and systems, and I don't know how many people played it, but enough to get sort of a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
So you play as Cutter Slade, who just wakes up one day on an alien planet, doesn't know what's going on, just like you, and meets a bunch of aliens called the Talons, and they're being beset by evil invaders who, spoilers, are humans. Because humans have never invaded a place, right?
Right.
Yeah. But he finds a jetpack and a gun, and he goes a-blasting. And it's great. I mean, is it a perfect game? No. Does it measure up to other open world genre games like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Horizon Forbidden West, either in terms of like the production values or the graphics or the overall voice acting? No. But it's fun.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, the basic gameplay is, you use the jetpack to just boost yourself up to get some verticality. Like you basically have a super jump from the beginning of the game. And then
that's nice.
As you play the game more, you can unlock a gliding ability. You unlock an ability to just zoom across the landscape, just more or less as running, because Slade can't run. I don't know, maybe his jetpack's too heavy, but he can zoom. He gets the zoomies. And then
zoomies.
Yeah, and then you can unlock additional like energy packs, which lets you like jump multiple times. You can jump up to like 5 times to get ridiculous height, or you jump up a couple of times, start gliding across the landscape, boost again, glide some more, and then you get another ability to let yourself glide upward using energy packs, so you can just reach additional heights. And
you just kind of build up some momentum in order to navigate through the open world.
You don't even need to build up momentum. Jump once, glide, and off you go, because you have a jetpack. You have built-in momentum.
Nice. And
like the basic gameplay loop is very similar to your standard sandbox open world. The bad guys have bases. You shoot all the bad guys in the base. You blow up the reactor to destroy the base. You unlock fast travel points by either blowing up bases or just finding the stones necessary to unlock the fast travel points. There's parkour missions that give you little doodads that will let you unlock more movement abilities with your jetpack. You can collect various currencies that can be filtered into upgrades for all your stuff and your guns, and get modules for your guns to do cool stuff like life restore on kill, or do more damage the faster your gun overheats, or whatever else. So it's fun. I mean,
this sounds like a game from like the Xbox 360 and PS3 era.
Exactly. That was very much my feel the entire time playing this game. This is a game from the like 2008 through 2013 era.
Right.
I
kind of miss those games.
This is it. The problem is, I mean, and I should also mention before I get into the price, it's very funny. Like, I thought it was very funny because it's a game that really does not take itself too seriously. And I think my favorite character is this one Talon Scholar. There are these like orange, big four-headed, three-fingered alien creatures. This Talon Scholar guy who's hard of hearing and has this voice like your most hated professor, but he's also just really sarcastic all the time, and he's great. I love that guy. But
I would not have guessed this game is humorous from watching the trailer.
No, it's very funny.
That's interesting. I'm kind of intrigued by this.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The story itself has got some dark moments. Like, the bad guy is this really idiotic general / commander / whatever, I forget his rank, who, tortures and executes prisoners for not speaking English because, he wants answers and nobody speaks English. What do? Shoot the prisoner in the head. That'll get you answers. Great job. Why are you in charge? So there is that, but just Cutter Slade's interactions with all of the various locals are just a blast to listen to, because like they don't understand his Earth idiom, so they take a lot of what he says literally. And then you have other characters that are just like ridiculously, they're just so absurd, and it's very clear that while some of the subject matter in this game is kind of dark, anything to do with the Talons and Slade is almost played for laughs. Like they're not trying, the devs aren't trying to make this all serious all the time.
I have to play this game, it sounds like. I wish I weren't open worlded out right now, but this sounds completely different from what I thought this game was going to be. I feel like I've learned so much just from talking to you about it.
Yeah, the only problem with it is the price, because it is $60.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and like balanced out, because that's the thing. It's not a perfect game. It's I would, again, it's very fun. If you like that kind of thing, if you like just being able to go anywhere on the map, because like once you actually get past the sort of tutorial point of the game, you can kind of go anywhere and do anything. And the only thing that really limits you is how many energy cells you have in your jetpack, because that determines how high you can jump and like what obstacles you can scale. But beyond that, it's almost Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom in that way, because you do whatever the heck you want.
It sounds very like Just Cause, Crackdown type of game. Like just kind of go do whatever, sandbox, have some fun.
Yes.
And not take itself too seriously. So
it's less shooty blow up than Just Cause, but it does also have that freedom of, hey, if you want to just ignore the main story, go off and do other stuff. But also the main story is mostly just, doing the regular blow up bases for the Talons, and also just doing various little mini quests to earn their trust. And that's kind of the whole thing. Like that's really the main gameplay loop, is doing chores for the Talons in order to earn the trust of the various villages. And then you get all the friendship tokens, and you take those friendship tokens to the Magic Island, and then good stuff happens. And I'm simplifying.
I know, just explaining it that way makes it like that's what video games sound like to people that don't play video games. You know what I mean? Like
that's true. Now, I would recommend this game. I don't know if I would recommend it at $60.
Okay. Like it feels like a budget title.
It feels like $40 would be a solid price point for this. Like if they had launched this at 40 or 50, I would have been like, yeah, go for it. But 60, you can get something that has. You can get Baldur's Gate 3 for $60.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to compete at that price point. You gotta give a little bit of value if you're not delivering something comparable to the rest of the market, I guess. I mean, but what do I know? I'm just a gamer. I'm not a marketing guy.
No, I hear you. But I mean, at the same time, if it's fun, even if it doesn't have the level of polish, sometimes games are just fun because they're fun. You know what I mean?
True.
So
fun is fun. So if $60, if that fun is worth $60 for you, go for it.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Again, that game is called Outcast, A New Beginning. I'm going to have to go do some educating myself on the original game because I didn't know this was a sequel. I mean,
you absolutely do not have to have played the original game because, like I said, Slade starts out the game with amnesia. He doesn't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. The devs don't expect you to know what's going on.
What a great name for a character, by the way.
Cutter Slade.
I like it. So, all right, Rel. Well, thank you so much for checking out that game. I appreciate it. I'm going to have to add it to my massive backlog of games that I want to try at some point in the future. So, appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, man. We'll catch you next time, okay?
Later.
Thank you so much, Rel. Appreciate that. Before we move on to our topic, I wanted to welcome a new Facebook member over at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. Nitesh Kumar. Hope you're enjoying the community over there. Also, over on our Discord server, a new member by the name of Ash. Hope you are enjoying the community over there. I actually chatted with him a little bit over in DM. So, also, if you would, do us a favor, drop us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the show. It does help us out. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our episodes there if you're not listening to them there already. And you can find all of our written content, which expect a lot from me this week because I got time off and this is my catch-up week. So I will have lots of reviews for you. Let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Before we get into our topic this week, I have a special interview for you guys, which happens to be the inspiration for our From the Outside In discussion. I sat down with the author of a book based on a character who plays video games after he retires. And after the interview, we'll get into our own discussion about our plans for gaming in our golden years. So without further ado, here is the interview. We've got a special treat for you guys. We've got a published author that is actually coming to join and talk to us today. And he also happens to be a gamer. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome English-born comedy writer, lyricist, librettist, author, and director, now living in Los Angeles, Mr. Richard Sparks. Richard, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, Scott.
And people may be wondering, why in the world are we bringing an author to the table to talk to us on a video game podcast? Well, Richard is his novel. Actually, I'm going to let Richard tell what his novel is, because it is very video game adjacent, and it kind of sheds a light on a very interesting topic in the world of video games. Richard, why don't you let everybody know what it is?
Yeah, video game adjacent is absolutely the right way of putting it, because it's not a story set in a game. That's, well, A, that's been done, and B, that wasn't the idea that fell out of the sky and hit me on the head like an anvil falling onto Wile E. Coyote. I was just galloping around with a bunch of scoundrels in one of my guilds, getting up to mischief, and thought, what would it really be like to be this guy in a world like that? My avatar was a heroic young battle mage who was extremely competent, basically led his little group, and was really good. What would it really be like to be this guy in a world like this? Not in a game. So once I had that idea, there was only one way of finding out, and that was to write it. Now, it's all he and his two mates, one of whom is an Australian whose avatar is an orc, and the other's an Asian American girl who's a sword dancer. They win the world championship of sword and sorcery, a bit like winning Fortnite or something, with tens of million people watching, and the next thing they know, he's standing alone, all by himself, in a field with a crappy sword and buckler, and he can hear wolves hunting him. So what the hell do you do? Of course, you're not the expert you were when you were mashing a keyboard. He's hopeless. There's no clue how to use a sword, and stumbling around with wolves after him. So the first thing he does is get captured, and things get worse. And then gradually, there's a training sequence. He's sold into an army, and he happens to have a trainer called Sergeant at Arms Blunt, known to one and all as Sergeant Bastard, who is about as good a trainer as you could possibly get. So by the end of it, he's re-met his mate Grell, the orc. So this wussy orc who'd been captured, by the end of the training sequence, he's fearsome. Our other guy's pretty good with bow and arrow, but he has no idea if there's any magic in this world. And they still don't know where the girl is. But at least they got trained, and then they go off to a combat. So in a game, you get this, don't you? The first thing is you learn your controls. Then you get a training sequence where you get decent. Then you go off to combat and get your ass kicked, and then you get better and better, and then the world unfolds around you to go and explore it. So I use that kind of convention that we're all used to, but I would stress it's not a game. It's all explained at the end what happened to him, and why they're in this new world. But it's just came out of my love of gaming, which, because I'm writing so much these days, I don't have time to play anymore. But I mean, well, I would love to, but a little busy.
Well, hey, we'll get you back on track one of these days.
Okay, yes.
I'd love to hop into some Baldur's Gate 3 with you or something at some point. That'd be amazing.
Okay, yes. That sounds like the end of 6 months, but I'll why not? I've written 4 books. Who needs the 5th that I'm struggling with at the moment?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Just drop it into ChatGPT, and it'll be all fine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But the trouble with ChatGPT, that's fine for the publishing it. It's fine for the fans and for anyone buying it. I want to write my own and find out what happens just for me. I'm not interested in seeing what a machine comes up with.
Oh, I know. And to be clear, I was totally joking.
I know, but someone was telling me yesterday, about some ChatGPT thing she used. So it came out perfect in about 3 seconds.
That's crazy. Yeah. What's the title of the book?
The title of the book is New Rock, New Roll, ROLE, because it's based on my love of role-playing games, of massively MMORPG, LBGQ, whatever that, all those, which I just love. When I fell in love with them, and my old mate Douglas Adams of Hitchhiker fame was telling me back in the 90s, games are great, they're such fun, you got to try them. And all I'd tried was a text game called Leather Goddesses of Phobos, which was completely addictive, but very limited. N for Go North and Get Sword or whatever.
I remember those games.
They were great. And then there was, I think Zork Zero.
Yep.
Was the first actually animated. Oh, and Leisure Suit Larry.
Yes.
Creeping about Atlantic City being awful in a leisure suit. But then, and then World Series of Poker games, and I played in the World Series of Poker 3 times live. So I was into that game. And then I think the first one that really lifted off was probably Dragon Age. And then you would go, what the hell is this? It's just so big and so beautiful. And then you get the online. And of course, my daughter's school friends were talking about World of Warcraft and Oblivion and Dungeons and Dragons online, and listening and going, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been interviewed about a lot is the rise of the older gamer. Because like any other person, I thought everyone online was 15, and they're not. One day in guild chat, there was our guildmaster typed that she was turning 85 next week and wanted to retire. And did anyone want to take over running the guild?
Wow.
Yeah, I know, not me. It's far too much work. But, so you just go, oh, they're all ages here. And of course, for the older gamer, if you actually become your avatar, as in my fiction, you're young again. Which is rather an extra thing. This is okay. I may be somewhere and I may be being chased by wolves and life may be shit, but at least I'm young and fit.
And I think that's what's so interesting about this concept, because when I first got the information about your book, New Rock, New Roll, I was drawn to it, number one, because I expected this to be a nonfiction book when I first started reading about it. And then I read the synopsis and realized that this is a novel about a retired teacher. Hello, I'm a fourth grade teacher who liked to play games. And so that struck a nerve. But then it brought to light this idea of people gaming in their later years, because like you're alluding to, there's kind of this, I don't know, stigma or belief that gamers are all kids, or that games are for children. And clearly that's not the case.
Pure ignorance. I mean, I had that before I was educated out of it. And if you think about it, the way that children learn and the way that we learn in life is through play. War games, the armies do war games to discover how to be prepared for the enemy. And game theory is a very important part of, philosophical thinking about how to deal with the world. Games they're not just for kids, they're for everyone. Sport game, same thing. We love our sports. And sports are unpredictable too, which is another joy that they have. Also, talking on being an older gamer, getting interviewed on that a lot is, do you know who Shirley Curry is? Skyrim Grandma?
I've heard of her, yes.
Yeah, she has 1.3 million followers. She's 86. She's a widow, lives all alone in Ohio. She's got 1.3 million friends all over the world who watch her play Skyrim.
It's amazing.
I know. It's a community.
It's one of those things that makes me wonder, where am I going to be when I get into my twilight years?
I think we know. You're going to be crouched over a console, maybe with a 5-dimensional headset on by that time.
Yeah, right.
What the hell? And you'll be goofing off. And I say, look, if you've got the longing for adventure, but you don't have the knees for it anymore, you can do it from the comfort of your own home.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, looking at the generation above me, I kind of have it in my mind that people, when they get into their later years, they just like to travel, and they like to do puzzles, and they like to play bridge. You know what I mean? So, like, I haven't really been looking forward to my later years, because those are things that I don't really want. I mean, travel, sure, I want to travel over once in a while.
You don't have to. You can do it from the comfort of your own TV screen, massive computer setup. And you can, as you know, in these open world, open cosmos games, you can go anywhere and do anything you want. I mean, one game I loved was Mass Effect. Did you guys play that?
I played some of the first one. I did not get into 2, and everyone tells me I need to just jump into 2.
2 and 3 were great. 4, they had this Game of Thrones ending problem that they couldn't figure out how to end it. So they basically said, oh, all of it's a joke. It doesn't matter, nothing. And you go, what? I put all this effort in, and you're saying it doesn't matter that I saved the universe? That's just bad writing, lazy writing. They just wanted us to go away,
right?
Which is not fair. Endings are hard. When I stress this with writers when I'm trying to help them is when you've had your idea, the first thing you must do is figure out your ending. You don't write and try and get there, because then you're in the same boat as your reader. You got to click, where can this possibly land? When I had the idea for New Rock, New Roll, the first thing I thought of, how does this land? How can this possibly be explained? How can this turn out? Got it. Nailed it. Right. Now I got 400-500 pages to play with the audience, to give them an adventure to draw them along, to set the traps and turns and red herrings and, get them going off all over the place. And then at the end they go, oh, wow, yeah, oh, I see. And then we're set up for the sequel.
So I'm intrigued by the story because it sounds like it's a little bit of reality, but then it also gets into an adventure story. And I'm curious how you get there because the synopsis says that it's about a retired teacher who's widowed. He's wanting to fill the hours of his life with something, and he discovers online gaming. But then it turns into a adventure story, like you're mentioning.
Well, the three of them, his name is Dax with 2 X's. Grell is the Australian orc avatar, their tank, and the DPS, damage per second, is Kreista, dual wielding sword dancer, Asian American girl, and together they, we're good. Are we world championship standard? So they actually get into the world championship, similar to what happened in Fortnite. The weekend I finished the book, there was the Fortnite's first world championship with millions of people watching live. So there they are, the three of them. They win the world championship. The next thing you know, he's scooted off down a lot of special effects. It will be great fun to film. And standing alone on a hillside with a crappy sword and shield going.
Oh, so you were speaking literally.
But, so he is. It's for real. It's not a game. It's a real death game, but not a real life game. Dead is dead. There are no reses.
Right.
So it's a world like what we see in these beautiful games that the designers build for us. It's a world like those, but it's for real, and it's all explained. And and what happens in a game, of course, is that once you've cleared one map, you go on to the next map, don't you?
Right.
And clear that. So that's my second book. They go on to another map, and the third, another, and the fourth, another. So it's continually unfolding, getting bigger and bigger. And the stakes, they're high every time. And the characters that you meet, some of them keep cropping up again. I mean, Sergeant Bastard is just, adore him to bits. You couldn't meet a more a tougher guy. And he's just, unstoppable. You can't get near him with any weapon. And he becomes basically a quest giver at one point. And a mentor.
It's a really fun idea. I apologize. I have not read it yet. I have not had time to get through it.
Well, it's a perfect opportunity for you to lie about how good it is. You can say, this book is fabulous. And we won't get any flickers of the fact you're lying out of your face because
Best
you're not.
Book I've written all year. Can't recommend it enough.
Best book I've written all year. That's a Freudian. Nice.
Did I say written?
Yeah.
Best book I've read. I've read all year. It's the best book I've read all year. I mean, we were talking a little bit in past episodes. I think we've talked about it, like how, as we've been doing this podcast for about 10 years now.
Oh.
And now that we know what retirement can be for us, it's going to be great because we're finally going to have time to sit and catch up on this massive backlog that we've accumulated. I think of all the JRPGs I missed from the PS1 era, and I missed a ton from even like the 16-bit era. So that's what's going to be my retirement.
That's your bliss, yeah.
It's going to be sitting there, and nobody's going to bother me. I can just sit and then we'll have the online component too. So we can hop on.
And for those of us who are bookworms and readers, which I've been all my life, it's like saying, I'm going to go back and read the classics. Going to go back and play the classics. And it's all the same stuff. There's the mythology that Tolkien uses and that Terry Pratchett uses and that Game of Thrones, George Martin. We're all mining the same field, going back to Beowulf, going back to Arabian Nights, going back to the Fairy Queen and Gilgamesh. All those stories are our culture, which us writers soak up and spew out in our own different ways. I mean, my characters are not, my orcs are nothing like Tolkien's. My guys are great. I really love them. They certainly know how to party, but they also, you don't really want to, you don't f- with my orcs, Any opportunity for a scrap. They're lovely. So I'm just reinventing the wheel, because it's there. It's our culture. Do you know who Charles Aznavour is? That a name that means anything to you? As a French singer
Not off the top of
from
my
the
head, no.
60s. I met him once at an occasion, and someone said, who are your influences? A question that everyone gets asked. And he said, we are all products of the others. It is impossible for anyone to emerge fully formed from the forest. I just love that. I'm standing right next to the guy. We're all products of the others. And, when you're young, they say, who are your influences? And you think that's an insult because they're going to accuse me of copying Mervyn Peake or Charles Dickens. No. I don't copy Pythons in my humour. I soaked up what they've got. I don't copy Tolkien any more than I copy Beowulf. But Tolkien didn't invent orcs. They're in Beowulf, a 1,000-year-old poem. And so we're all continually using this fertile mass of stuff to come up with what we come up with.
That's really insightful. Makes me feel a little bit better about my own creativity.
But also, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just.
Well, if you think about it, supposing I was to say to you, I've written the most brilliant story ever. It's about these two rocks that sit in the field forever. And you go, what? And you'd have to admit there's, I suppose, a 1 in a million chance it could be the greatest work of literature ever written. But actually, it's so alien to us, the idea of two rocks saying nothing for an hour, that we think that's probably not a good idea. So you are actually, because you're working in a field that is vaguely familiar to people, and sword and sorcery is familiar to everyone from fairy stories onwards in our lives, people get it. They go, oh, this is, I know this kind of thing. Yeah, I liked Douglas Adams. I liked Ready Player One. I liked Tolkien. I liked Discworld. I liked Hitchhiker. Maybe I like this one. And that's what I do when I read a book or a synopsis, and I go, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think I do something even more closely to the original than that. Is one of my favorite things to do is go pick up a book that a film was based on and go back and re-experience the same story just from a different, from the original lens. So last year I reread The Hunt for Red October, Jurassic Park. I go back and I listen to these audiobooks.
Jurassic Park, well, yeah, that was a book by Crichton, wasn't it, before
Correct.
The adaptation? That's interesting. Yeah, because, for example, Ready Player One, which is a beautifully constructed book, the story structure in that book is really, really excellent. And the film, I thought, was an absolute horror show, just because the book was so good. I loved it so much. And it had nothing to do with the 1980s throwbacks. It had nothing to do with all the lovely video gaming nerdy stuff that really, really worked in the narrative. And the film they brought in all sorts of stupid scene from The Shining. Sitting there going, and then all the kids who watch say, "Whoa, what a great film! Have you seen it?" And I say, "Read the book."
Yeah, I've always been of the mind that I think his other book, Armada, would make a better film. I don't know if you've read that one, but
I have. It's I don't know about film.
It was hard to top the first one.
Which?
Ready Player One.
Well, yeah, that's because it's finishes. It's perfectly constructed. There's nowhere to go after that. It's done. He's nailed it. It's an incredible achievement.
Right.
So the next thing is to write something else.
Yeah. So I know you said you don't have a whole lot of time to game because you spent so much time writing, which is a good thing. It's obviously your passion. But if you had the time, what do you wish you were playing right now?
Whoa, God. But that's kind of the book.
Yeah.
I wish I was in a world like that. I don't know. I've kind of left that behind because I've got everything I need out of these amazing games. I've got the worlds. I've got the pictures of, Skyrim or of Outer Space with Mass Effect or all the other ones. Oh, there was a wonderful Japanese game in some Yakuza Japan I played for weeks. I simply don't know. I'd rather figure out my 500 words that I've got to write today.
There you go.
But I'm so grateful for this incredible world that they've created for us. And let's play Baldur's Gate together.
All right, you named the time and the place, man. We'll be there. We got 2 spots open.
You do? How many are in a party in Baldur's Gate? How many are in a party?
4 in Baldur's Gate, but you can kind of drop in whenever. So we have someone from our community that has dropped in to play with us once in a while. So we had 3, but you can have a max of 4.
And is it just open world, or is there a beginning and a middle and an end and a campaign? And can you just go anywhere, do anything?
But it's straight up D&D. I mean, it's
fabulous.
It's 5e. It's got the dice rolls.
Yeah. But I mean, we didn't have this when I was growing up. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, Kevin is actually the DM for my Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game too. So we're doing a real one. Well, we're supposed to be.
I just can't understand how people can be so close-minded about it, because I was myself. My brother-in-law he's American, went to college in England, so he's staying next door to us in our London house. And I go over there and I see him and his friends at the tabletop game. They're all scientists and nerds and stuff. And I sort of looked and thought, whatever, we had a young child to deal with. And then, years later, when you realize that this is incredible, it's just so opens your mind to possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping an open mind is really important.
I totally and wholeheartedly agree. What was so fascinating to me is when I finally got into D&D and just realized this is something that would have been beneficial to me as a kid in terms of storytelling and understanding how stories are developed and designed. And I mean, there's math skills associated with that, and there's strategy, and I just see nothing but positives from it.
Absolutely. Have you ever seen films of fox cubs in the spring, or marmoset puppies, or Labrador puppies? How do they learn? They learn through play. How do kids learn? They learn through play and through games and making up stories, and telling them the stories they make as they play with their soldiers, or comb the hairs of their dolls, or whatever they're into. Stories, and stories make sense of the world around us.
Those are the kinds of things I think I need to hear personally myself, because as I get older, I still I still struggle with being an adult gamer and worried about how people perceive me as, oh, he's 44 years old, he's still holding a controller in his hands. And comments like that, where you're talking about people develop through play. And I have.
Do you want to stop developing? Do you want to stop developing as you get older?
Absolutely.
Then don't stop playing.
Right.
Look at Shirley, 86 years old, 1.3 million followers. Shirley Curry, right. Skyrim Granny. If you fossilize during life, if you say this is the answer to everything, this is the truth, you can't believe anything beyond this. Well, look how that closes minds. Look how it makes life difficult for in some societies. So yeah, absolutely keep on playing. You learn through games, you learn through stories, I learned a shitload playing MMORPGs from the people in my earphones. We had one group which had drunk Fridays, and we had a wonderful we had a leader. She was a very raunchy lady from, I think, somewhere around like southeast Tennessee type of area. Sophisticated, obviously an urban dweller, and very bright. And she was an extremely good leader of raids, but it was also kick-ass, nutty, and silly. And so all the people in the group got sillier and sillier. And when the Drunk Fridays became, we started off being absolute gods. We could wipe any crew we came across. And 3 hours later, we were being taken apart by a troll with a toothpick, But great fun. And you learn from these folks. It was a good time. I'd have no idea if that group's still going, but, yeah, definitely. And that's keeping your ears and eyes open. It's going, game is not just for kids. Game is
not only that, but there's a requirement. I have personal issues in that I struggle to allow myself to relax. Part of that is it's a psychological thing. I'm actually talking to somebody about it. But I have difficulty just sitting down and relaxing, so much to the point that I've taken this hobby that I love so much, video games, and I've turned it into something productive. So now that it makes me feel less guilty about sitting down and playing a game because, well, I'm doing it because I have something to talk about on the podcast. You know what I mean? And I've got a friend of mine that is in the Netherlands that is constantly on me like, you have to have time for yourself. You have to take time for yourself, and it is okay to allot time for rest, for relaxation, it is just as vital as food.
Yeah,
And
sure. I'll buy that. But on the other hand, this is for you. You and Kevin, you love this subject. You love this world. This is input. You know, I talk with this about writers and actors. You know, actors give a performance. Professors give a lesson. Priests give a sermon. And then sometimes you need the input. You need to get back. So output and input. So this is both for you. You're getting input from talking with fellow enthusiasts like me and Kevin, but you're also in your own, the field that is your hobby. This is going to be recharging your batteries.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So tell us, our listeners, where can they check out your book, New Rock, New Roll? Is there audiobook versions of it? Can they purchase a paper copy? You know, do you have a website they can purchase? Where do they find it?
Yes, it's, Richard Sparks. There's no E in Sparks. www.richardsparks.com. If you go to that, you can get a free audio sample of the audiobook, which I read. So it's basically 2 chapters sort of crushed together. Or you can get a free downloadable sample of another chapter. So if you really think, go for it. You can get 2 free chapters out of the 37 in the first book, I think. Mm-hmm. And then you can get a taste for it. You know, they're both chapters in which there's quite a bit of comedy, as well as obviously the adventure is happening. So I would start there, richardsparks.com. It's available, yes, in audiobook, physical book, ebook from Amazon.com, .co.uk, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, all good bookstores. And, of course, at various conventions. I'll be at Seattle at the end of the month for NorWesCon. Mm-hmm. And yes, please check it out. I mean, everyone says, you know, give away a free sample, and then if people think this isn't for me, well, they haven't wasted their time or their money. But if they like it, welcome aboard. And there are 3 sequels backed up on the runway, which I've written, and I'm now floundering around in the early stages of book 5, trying to let it tell me what it's going to be. And this is what I do at night instead of writing. My wife goes to bed early. She gets up early. I go to bed late. I crack open a beer, and instead of gaming, I'm writing. And now it's the old 500 words a day. And if they're no good the next morning, you can always tear them up and throw them away and start again. So it's quite a it's quite a lot of testing stuff out. Sometimes you're off to the races, and other times you think, this. I'm not sure this is going right. Good fun. Anyway, so richardsparks.com.
That's where they can check out the sample, and then, like you said, it's available on Amazon for purchase, and audible.com for you prefer audiobook, like I do. I
love audiobooks. Absolutely.
So do I. So do I.
Yeah.
So what's new on the horizon for you then? I know you said you're working on book 5, or how far do you plan on taking the series?
Well, I'm going to keep writing these till I drop, or until I run out of ideas. And the interesting thing about book 4 is it kind of completes a character arc, an event. So book 5 is, well, what happens after that? So everything follows on from one story completed, one adventure finishes, and then, there's a whole new world. Of course, stuff's going to happen to them, and there are going to be more tasks ahead. So I'm following that, and I've got some ideas for following books that are going to be quite radically different, because I think at a certain point, you'll need to chop and change a little bit. But at the moment, I'm just so in love with the characters that they just keep cropping up again in later books. So the two little woodskin, I suppose other people would call them elves. They're not my elves, by the way. They're just horrible little cannibals who will eat you as soon as look at you. But pit elves. But no, these 2 woodskin who capture our hero. They're a couple of funny, like English rustic types, and they crop up. They're hugely important in books 3 and 4. They just naturally suggested themselves as being an important part of what needed to be done. It's great. I couldn't wait. It was lovely to welcome them back. So yes, the characters are becoming more available to me. And in the second book, this is fun. The other day, I have 4 test readers who've read all 4 books. The oldest is 84. The youngest is, the 5th, the newest one, is 12. Just added him. He's a neighbour's kid in London, and he loved the first book, and he pestered me to can I read the second? Can I read the second? I said, look, it's coming out in November. You'll have to wait. Oh, go on. So I sent it to him for Christmas, saying, look, don't send it to anyone. It hasn't been through the editor yet, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote, well, he said to his mum, it's great. It's even better than the first one. The characters are fully developed, and you can, and so you get that reaction. Fantastic. So 12 to 84. Feedback is great. I'm very, very chuffed.
Well, I just purchased it on Audible, so I now own a copy of it, and I will check it out. It's going to be next on my queue.
Oh, great. Well, listen, I've got two things to say about the Audible. Every time I listen to Mel Brooks or Alan Arkin or Seth Rogen reading their books, these guys are great actors. I'm the author, so I read it great. I mean, everyone says, okay, but all I hear is, my voice sounds a bit throaty here, and they cut that bit in a bit wrong. So I do hope you forgive any glitches you hear.
Hey,
and
you've listened
just
to our
enjoy
podcast. you hear me, so.
Well, they're the fun bits.
Well, very cool. Richard, it's been awesome to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by to talk to us about New Rock, New Roll. Like I said, I've got it on Audible now, so I'm going to be checking that out myself.
Right. Well, drop me an email with how you think of it. And if you like it, you can write a nice review on Amazon. That would be helpful, because we need to spread the word. And definitely hook me up, and I'll see if I can Baldur's Gate with you guys.
Absolutely. I don't know what platform you're on. We're playing on Xbox, but I think
I've got a big gaming PC that gets no use, but it's sitting under the desk.
Well, Richard, we're going to let you go here in just a second, but thank you, and I hope our listeners will check out your book as well. Like I said, I can't honestly recommend it highly enough, but from what I've heard, it sounds amazing.
Stop right there. I can't honestly recommend it highly enough.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. We'll take it.
We'll just edit that part out. Good morning, Vietnam. Slap it on the box.
So corrupt. Let's run with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful evening. Well,
thank you so much for having me, Kevin and Scott. It's been a lot of fun. I'll see you when the sequel's published in November.
Sounds good. We'll definitely keep you posted, and after I finish the book, I will talk about it again on another episode. So, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, sir. You have a wonderful evening, okay?
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
And there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. The interview got me thinking about just how long I'll be playing video games. Do you think there's ever a time where we'll be considered too old to be gamers? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, pretty much anything you enjoyed, there will be people that say you're too old to be doing this, because, I mean, I'm part of the K-pop world. 31 is considered to be, like, ancient. They're like, you're old, you shouldn't be listening to K-pop. I'm like, shut up. K-drama's the same way, too. There'll be people going, these actors are so old. I'm like, they're 30 or 40. I'm like, that's not old. But it's just like, I mean, pretty much
I don't mean
anything
this to sound negative, but how do you tell? I feel like Korean people are so young.
They look very young. People just find out because fans are obsessive.
Oh, okay. So they just say they look old even though they don't look old?
I mean, no. They'll be like, you're 42, you need to start eating soft foods now. That's something one of my favorite current favorite K-drama actors gets all the time in, like, live streams and stuff. I'm like, he's 42, stop it.
Wow. Man, I guess I better get my AARP card.
I know, it's like, he's only like 10 years older than me. Like, oh god, that guy start eating soft foods at 42 now?
Oh my goodness.
They probably tell me to eat soft foods now.
Just like Orin in Final Fantasy X. Grizzled old gray hair samurai, can barely hold himself together, 32 years old, ancient guy.
I remember that.
I mean, I'm sure there are probably people that think we're too old to play games now, and I'm like, I
definitely.
don't care. Especially because I have demand avoidance, so if you tell me not to do something, I'm not going to listen to you. If you ask me nicely, probably I'd listen to you, but if you ask me to quit gaming, no. But if you tell me I'm too old to do something, I don't care. I'm going to do it if I enjoy it. So
you could ask me nicely. I'm still not quitting gaming.
I'm
not giving up gaming.
Well, I'm not either, but if you tell me I'm too old to do something, I'm going to be like, I don't care, and you just told me, so I care less now.
That's just the principle. You're just going to, even if you don't want to, You're going to do it just because someone said you can't.
Well, it's just I have demand avoidance, which isn't part of an autism thing. So if people like tell me something, my brain is like, that's a demand or a threat, so I don't do it.
Oh.
So I have to be asked nicely to do stuff. Because then it's not a demand or a threat. It's just someone being polite.
So what you're saying is reverse psychology will work very well on you.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever an age, like, if you're doing a hobby that you're too old, and I don't get why people tell others that they're too old. If you enjoy it and you're able to, if you're still able to do it, and it's not hurting you or anyone else, enjoy your hobby. Like, there's no age limit.
Yeah. I mean, look at everything else that everybody is still enjoying. Like, we grew up watching cartoons, right? And people still, in their adult years, watch cartoons. I think Zack has made the argument before that sports are literally playground games for children that they turned into adult games.
Yeah.
Because they liked them so much, they wanted to keep it going. So why aren't you too old to play children's playground games? Hey, I love football just as much as everybody else.
Of course, yeah, but it is a children's game that they pay millionaires to play.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something like that. You actually can be too old to play football because your body physically can't do it.
You can get hurt. I mean, like, if you're watching it, I mean, there's not an age limit.
Right. Yeah. What do you think, Zach?
I don't know. Are you too old to read books?
Not until you can't see the words anymore. But even then, you have audiobooks or...
Yeah, this question is ridiculous. Are you too old to appreciate a painting? It's just no. I mean, people still do make this argument. So probably it's like any artistic medium. There is going to be the schlocky stuff that I guess it'll feel like you're just wasting your time on, like a Fast and Furious movie, right? or I guess a Call of Duty game. But there's also going to be those work of arts that engage your brain, like I don't know, Interstellar.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or something, like that actually make you think. And that's true of video games as well. It's just how it is. So no, there will never be a time I am too old. I'll be playing Smash Brothers in the retirement home. No big deal. And in fact, you know what? Us gamers, we're gonna age slower. We're not gonna age as quickly because we're keeping our hand-eye coordination up. We're keeping our short-term memory up. We're engaging our brains and muscles and the way they speak to each other more than the average person, and not in a destructive way like a football would be, where you're just eviscerating your body, every week.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna be in better shape as old timers than a lot of people.
We might just be at a greater risk of carpal tunnel syndrome, but you know what? I'll take it. If I can still play games, oh well.
Well, plus, like, even if you have something like that, look at all of the accessibility options that we have in gaming right now. So there will be a way for us to play, even if we are not 100% able to hold the controller the same way that we were in our youth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I knew there was what the answer was going to be to this when I posted this on social media, and when I asked you guys. I knew that no one was going to say that they were going to be too old, at least, amongst company. If I ask people outside of our community, how old do you think too old to play video games? And they'll say 17. You know what I mean? They're like, you don't need to play video games
the random strangers
anymore.
of the internet.
Right.
But then I just don't understand how do those people take themselves seriously? I don't know. Or don't you think you're too old to watch movies, Carla? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. You can binge watch an entire TV show. Binge watch Stranger Things on a weekend,
right?
But
and everyone's excited about that,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more universally accepted. But
also, take Barbenheimer last year. I mean, that's pretty much 5 hours of movie watching back to back. But people complain about you playing games for that long. What's the difference?
Yeah,
right.
And we could defend games all day long. That's not what I meant for this conversation, to turn into. But, we talk all the time about there being a negative stigma of gaming. It's like people that are in their parents' basement and they don't have jobs and they don't have a social life. Now, some of us socialize better than a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like there's coordination. Like when I was talking about my Baldur's Gate thing today, you can't just accidentally beat that thing. You know what I mean? It took brain power to figure that out. And that kind of stuff feels awesome, and that feeling of success is a really good thing. So, yeah. What are your guys' plans for the future? I know I'm a little closer to retirement than you guys, but I'm like 20 years out. But you gonna be playing games till you die, or do you think you'll give up? I guess you guys already kind of answered that, but we're clearly going to be gaming into retirement. What are your hopes and dreams? Are you looking forward to it? Or are you, because I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think, of course, all that extra time, you get to tear up that backlog. Games fry from 30 years ago by then that I haven't played yet.
Yeah.
That would be pretty exciting. Or I'll relive my glory days. Yeah.
Dude, we're gonna bring back LAN parties because,
dude, that'll be awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, I could see us, like, dude, when we retire, we just all like go to the same retirement home.
Yeah.
We have a community area.
To, because if not, I'll just be alone in my house with cats playing games, and I won't be socializing with anyone. So please, let us all go to the same retirement home.
I'm not retiring in Alabama. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I'll move out of Alabama because
right.
I'm only here because I have to be here at the moment.
Yeah. But no, the LAN party would be great. Yeah, I assume we will all just we'll be like every old person. We'll be like, games back in my day were way better than these VR goggle nightmares you're playing.
Yeah.
Here I'm playing some Knights of the Old Republic back when they made good Star Wars games.
See, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that though. Coming back to the other topic where we talk about people that that talk down about games, and there's like a certain subset of people that just can't not talk negatively about something that they are just not personally interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I struggle with this personally sometimes. For instance, I'm not a big fan of country music. Mm-hmm. Do I crack some jokes about it every once in a while? Yeah. You know what you get when you play country music backwards? You get your dog back, you get your wife back, your house back, you get your truck back.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to just like make fun of someone for listening to country music, even though some of them make it easier than others. But I'm not going to. That's if you dig it, I still can appreciate the musicianship of a genre of music that I don't like. I'm not going to crap all over it because I don't want someone crapping all over what I like to do. So yeah, but
right, it's no fun yucking anyone's yum.
Exactly.
But
for some people it is apparently, but
yeah.
Not if you're a good person.
Yes.
I'm also feeling spicy today, Zack. You're not the only one.
I just think that even like when we're older, like one of my favorite things that we've done is when we go up to Extra Life in Milwaukee with the guys from from a podcast that doesn't exist anymore, is just sitting around playing even a single player game just amongst other people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can get my headphones. I want to do that when we are older. Like, I don't even want to just sit in my room by myself. I want to be around you guys, even if I got a headphone on and maybe one headphone on or an earbud in or something like that. Just like being around people while I'm playing games. I'm sure I'll go to my room and play some stuff when I want to be alone, but like I just like being around other gamers. You know what I mean?
Okay, we gotta build a commune, a gamer commune.
Yeah, we really do,
dude. It's a common area in the middle. It's got TVs and couches set up all the way around the perimeter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then food in the middle.
Right.
It sounds perfect.
Doritos and Mountain Dew, like God intended.
Exactly.
I'd get to live with some of my favorite people. I would be happy.
There'd be like a jar of Metamucil sitting there to sprinkle that on your Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Scott, I'm gonna have so many Kickstarts there for you.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna sneak it to you. Your wife's never gonna have to see all the Kickstarts I'm sneaking you.
Because then, it doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna be on the tail end anyway. Although, I guess at that point, we probably would want to extend it, right? We're like,
Well, your heart's slowing down in your old age, right? Get that Mountain Dew, kickstart it back up.
Exactly. But I mean, when I think of retirement homes, I think of what people do in retirement homes, and I'm not talking negatively about older people, but like in my brain, I think card games, bridge, and puzzles. You know what I mean? And that is not what I want to be doing. I also don't want to just sit and watch TV in a recliner the entire time. I want to engage with my friends and do what I love. And that's not all we do. Obviously, there'd be movies and TV shows and books and exercise and stuff like that too. But
And other rampant escapades, you know what I'm saying, Scott?
dude, I have heard some stories.
I have as well.
I did not know that kind of stuff went down in retirement homes.
There is a story that involves my granny, but I cannot say it.
Can't wait to hear it off the air.
I can't wait till we're done recording so I can hear that story. Oh my goodness.
My granny has passed away now, by the way. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
at least she had some
Granny,
fun.
for
At least she had some
revealing
fun on her way out.
All right, I guess we have to save that for the Peace of Mind episode.
A little Gaming Outsider After Dark.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that is our thoughts on the topic. Let's go ahead and see what our community said. Spoiler alert, everybody agrees with us.
What are the odds?
Have one person. I can't imagine one person that joins a video game group on Facebook and says, "No, I'm going to be quitting playing." But
I like gaming now, but it'd be sad if I'm doing it at 45.
Yeah, I gotta put a cap on. I can't play past 50.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Let's start with you, Zach, over on Facebook.
Sure. Jason Rogers writes in, I got started on the NES and I'm still gaming into my 40s. I don't think I'll ever stop.
Yeah,
bro.
I started earlier than that. Atari 2600 for me.
Right.
I think you did too, didn't you, Zach?
That's where my grandpa made me start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think my first game we talked about is Bill Elliott's NASCAR racing or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, but then grandpa was like, no, you got to start where it started.
So was that as a kid jarring to be like? I mean, not that Bill Elliott's NASCAR racing was like mind blowing graphics, but like to it definitely looked better than Atari. So what was that like?
I think kids. I think a kid's mind is just accepting of anything. Yeah,
dude. I totally with you. I brought an Atari 2600, one of the plug and play ones, to my classroom and played bowling with my kids. It's a square ball, and the pins are squares.
You remember, your imagination actually works then. So it does a lot of you're like, oh my God, I'm bowling, even though it's just like a flat brick going against the other flat bricks or whatever.
Yeah. And that's what I'm having, like, I played the original Final Fantasy VII, so when I'm playing Remake and I'm seeing scenes that I saw with characters that had boxes for hands.
Right, yeah.
And no voice acting, and I'm seeing them done how I pictured them in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, because we had to use our imagination a lot more back then, and I think that's a good thing.
It's very trippy.
Yeah, Alyssa.
Cool. Joel Selinsky writes, "I plan to play until I'm dead. Never found another activity that can either be social or solitary, depending on your needs at that time."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess TV or movies could be that as well, I suppose, but they're also not interactive, right?
That's true.
I mean, yeah, if you go to the movie theater and you're the person on your phone, talking or texting the entire time, no one's having a good time.
Everybody complains about that. I hardly ever see that.
Every single time I go to the dang movie theater, it happens, so that's why I don't go to the movies that much.
I
get panicky.
I also do not see a lot of people on their phones, although I did just go see Love Lies Bleeding the other day. And there was a guy who apparently didn't know it was a movie about lesbian crime ladies, because when there was a lesbian sex scene on, he just started screaming something really loudly, couldn't understand what he was saying, and just left the movie. So there was that.
That's fun, though.
It was funny.
Yeah.
To me, I was just like, was the two ladies embracing each other on the poster not enough of a giveaway to you, my guy?
When that gets me,
they're just friends.
They're roommates.
The one that got me was, going to Deadpool, and somebody brought their toddler. Like,
oh my God.
Not like
to the R-rated movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Marvel movie. It must be fine.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, I went to Spiral, the Book of Saw, and there were like 3 families that brought toddlers and 5-year-olds, and I'm like, you want your kids to see what's happening on screen? Okay.
Yeah. Next comment comes from Chad. Are we saying Daum? It's spelled D-A-U-M, and in my head, I'm reading it as Chad Damn. But
I read it as Chad Dom.
Dom, okay.
Shit, Dom.
Chad says, I plan on gaming as long as the good Lord and my body allow me to. That's the thing that worries me. When I was putting together this topic, I was reminded of the Twilight Zone episode called Time Enough at Last,
Oh,
where
is that the glasses?
yes,
Mm.
yeah. If, the guy that like all he wanted was time to read. He never had time to read, and like a nuclear holocaust happens or something, and that's not the right word.
But yeah,
Nuclear-
a nuke goes off. Yeah.
Nuke
Yeah.
goes off, and he's like in a bank vault, and he's the only survivor. And he's like, I finally have time to read, and then he steps on his glasses. So I had this
Yeah.
like huge fear that I'm going to finally get retirement age, and then I'm just going to go blind,
Oh
you know,
my god.
or
That'd be awful.
something, or I'm going to
I'd
lose my
consider
hearing.
Blindness would be devastating. Hearing you
Mhm.
can adjust to, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, subtitles.
And your hands response time, I think, as long as you keep up with gaming, I think you'll probably be okay. Oh
Hope
yeah,
so.
blindness. Never thought about that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my vision. I had LASIK surgery years ago, and it wore off. I don't know if that's the
Oh,
right way
man.
to describe it, but like, I'm wearing glasses again, and it's getting worse. And I don't know if that's attributed to how much I'm on my phone. You know, this can't be
Yeah.
good for you.
That's true.
But yeah, I have to wear my glasses when I'm playing games. Like, I can't play a game without my glasses. And I have a 65-inch screen.
I also had LASIK, and I was 24, I believe.
Mhm.
So I had it for 7 years, and I'm always like, when's it gonna wear off? When's it gonna kick in when I'm gonna have to get reading glasses? Because they always said, they told me probably by 40 I'd have to have them, but I'm like, well, I've happen sooner.
I actually asked my eye doctor if I could get it again, and they're like, no, you're too old.
That's crazy.
That felt awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. I didn't know you could be too old for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a certain age range for it.
You think the old people would need it more than anyone?
I think.
Something to do with your eyes and how they recover, and it's something.
Let's figure it out, science.
Yeah.
Get on it.
By the time we get there, they'll have it figured out, right?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
We don't even need
Probably.
eyes. They just inject the games right into our brain. We just see
Yeah.
it.
If there's even a planet at all by then.
That's a good point. All right, Zach, you're up.
Mark Zemansky writes in, much like the previous comments, and I'm sure Scott has already mentioned how his backlog could last him until the next century.
Yeah.
I have enough games that I currently want to play that I don't think I'll ever stop. My parents never played video games. They're in their late 70s. He still plays solitaire on his Kindle, but my mom pushes it, and my mom plays Candy Crush. I would imagine that, at worst, that would be me. But my intention is to keep on playing, to purchase Uncharted 40 and still love every minute of it. I was confused.
40.
It says parents never play video games, then he lists them playing two different video games.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that argue whether or not those
Yeah.
are video games or not, but I would say they are.
I guess
Yeah.
Solitaire is just a digital version of a card game, but Candy Crush is straight up just a video game.
Yeah, it is. Smuggled.
That's right. I guess there's no Nathan Drake, though, so is it really worth playing?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Every game needs Nathan Drake
Speaking of, that's another game
or an equivalent.
That's another game I downloaded on Apple Arcade this week is Blackjack. I like little Blackjack. I played that.
Cool.
It's like one of the top games on Apple Arcade.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I was like,
$5
really?
a month to play Blackjack.
It's kind of crazy to me, but all right, Alyssa.
David Carpenter writes, I've got a backlog on Steam that is just waiting for retirement. I can't see a future where I'm not playing games in some capacity.
I think it's just physical ailments that we're all worried about that would keep us from
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah. Sean Coates says, yeah, like everyone else here, I'll be gaming till the bitter end. I don't care if I'm 90, no longer able to walk and constantly defecating in my chair. I'll be playing walking simulators while being reminiscent of the good old days when I actually could walk.
There you
It's
go.
kind
Hadn't
of
thought about
sad.
it.
I know.
Play walking simulators to actually simulate walking.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought about
Yeah.
that.
I didn't have it either, but it's true.
I feel like this is where, like, if I can't play games, I'm still going to watch Twitch streams of people playing games just to, like, oh, I can't play it, but I'm going to watch somebody else play it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, I guess you'll always be able to at least play turn-based games, right?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
All right.
I did play the entire game. First time I ever played Chrono Trigger. I played on an emulator on my computer, which is, arrow keys and a couple buttons. So it can be done.
Definitely. See?
Yeah. I'm going to read the other one
Andrew-
real quick. Andrew Jack
okay.
says, life without gaming is death.
Yeah, we should have a flag made with that on it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Little Gaming
Or
Outsider logo.
t-shirts.
Yeah. Anyway, I just didn't want you to be. I don't want to leave you hanging with just a single line. I was trying to give you more to read, man.
Oh, it's okay. Brandon Lloyd writes, "Till I die, I play much less with my kids and family, but I will never not play games." Yeah, don't have kids. That's my advice.
Makes it a lot easier.
Or if you do,
Yeah.
abandon them.
I like you did that one time, Zach.
Yeah, of course. Mhm. Oh, well, we can't say this next name, right?
Just say the last name.
I've said I always get this name. And I always just
right?
have to say the last name.
Oh.
It's my turn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Salam writes, "Don't think I'll ever stop playing, but I could see myself deciding to not take part in newer generations of consoles.
Oh, interesting.
Even now, I don't feel the same imperative to get a PS5 or a Series X the way I have in previous console generations. Whether that's my age or the direction gaming is going, I don't know. I think I'll probably make one more jump to PC and hold there."
That's a good point. I mean, we're already we were talking earlier, like PS6 and whatever the next Xbox is.
Yeah.
We're probably good. We're already there. And
I mean, yeah. Yeah, eventually you're going to stop having disk drives, and then I'll be much less interested.
well, yeah. But I mean, like, there's just so much to go back and play. I mean, think of like the PS1 library alone,
Mm-hmm.
or the PS2 library.
Right.
There's so much to play, man. Like, it's even my NES collection. I got 800. I mean, granted, half of them are garbage, probably, but there's just always going to be something to play.
Right. Well, like 30 games come out on Steam a day.
Mm-hmm. It's just insane. I wonder if that's going to die down. I wonder if we're going to have another video game crash and it's just going to hit a standstill or something like that.
I don't think it would really affect indies as much, right? A video game crash, it would pretty much just affect the big boys.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm up over on Discord. Thomas Beck says nobody is too old to play video games. However, you can't be too old to play certain types of video games. I can see myself playing adventure games, tactical games, and RPGs until the day I die, but I already feel too old to play shooters and platformers. I definitely do not see myself playing a game like Apex Legends in my 80s. That's kind of a good point. I don't play online multiplayer.
It's all in your head,
shooters.
Thomas. All in your head. Just get into that shooter arena. You'll get better.
Yeah. All it takes is practice, man. All it takes.
Drew Ross writes, "I'll play video games till the day I kick the bucket. You're never too old to enjoy gaming."
Yeah.
Sure.
Same sentiment. Alyssa?
Tim Paulin writes, "I'm most likely the oldest in this server. I'm not stopping anytime soon. I can't wait to retire. Thomas is right. Those twitchy, sweaty games are getting tougher to hang."
Yeah, I just don't play them. That's
Yeah, I don't either.
There's so many great story games or clever games that I can play by myself. I feel like we're a dying breed, though. I feel like, multiplayer is like the sole thing that a lot of people play anymore, or mobile games.
Hey, that trend will shift, I'm sure.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But we say that, and then every single player game, or the big ones still sell millions of copies, right?
Exactly. Have we seen the sales numbers for Rebirth?
No, which is a little concerning because I think by this point they had been like 16 and sold 3 million copies.
Mm-hmm. It'd be really curious. It'd be really interesting to see those numbers compared to Remake numbers.
Yeah, see how much the excitement's died down, or how many people are like, "Well, I can't play Rebirth yet. I still haven't finished Remake."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And how much longer it's going to be before the third one comes out?
Presumably 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And then I've heard the Rebirth FF7 Rebirth sales in Japan though are very soft.
I did hear that too. It's
Yeah.
shocking. You would think that's where it would be
Yeah,
huge.
I would agree.
Let's see. Paul Hine writes, "I've never liked the quick Twitch stuff, though I do like playing pinball physically, but I can't see myself stopping gaming ever. I'm sure I'll be building my umpteenth gaming PC when I'm in my 90s to play all those retro games from the 2030s. As scary as the implications are, bring on the Oasis and all the retro nostalgic vibes an old soul can handle." Yeah, do it. That's gonna be the cool thing is just like to be able to log in and go do all this stuff virtually. You know what I mean? Hopefully we'll be there by then. Don't even need the consoles
I think I'm
Playing
too
in-
scared by the implications.
of the Oasis.
Also, when I first read Bring On the Oasis, I thought he was talking about the band. So I'm like, oh, we're just gonna be playing Wonderwall over and over again? No, that's literally what my brain interpreted it as.
That's hilarious.
That's fine. Then Tim Thane.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play for as long as my body allows. I'm sure my intensity about it will slow down. I won't need to play so much like I do now, but it will always be that hobby that I love. My only concern is my hands. Sometimes I have days where one of my hands is just numb and it won't go away, or while playing it'll get numb and I need to stop. Been doing all I can to improve that though. Need to stay healthy so I can be an old man gamer. That's the dream.
The only time my hands ever get numb is when I'm playing on my Switch. If I hold the Switch in front of my face for long periods of time, I feel like I have to. But I feel like it's not even in my hands that it's cutting off circulation. It's in my elbows because I'll have my elbows like resting somewhere. So if I just like lift off my elbows, people not on video
Yeah.
are missing a really funny shot of me like winging it up right now.
A cheerleader.
So I like will hold the Switch in front of my face with my elbows out like this. I look like a total goober, but I just 30 seconds and it goes away. But I don't have
the same thing. Like I have to be laying on my stomach when I'm reading or playing my Switch or Steam Deck. So
really?
my elbows, I always have my elbows propped up, and I kill my elbows doing that every single time.
I don't think I could play on my stomach. Even
that's the only way I can do it. Like I've tried sitting up. I don't know. It just makes me feel weird. So I have to be laying on my stomach.
Wow.
Yeah, kills my elbows, but I still do it.
I don't think I could do. I don't think I could like even with a controller. Like if I were laying on my stomach and then looking up at the TV, like I don't
game like with a controller that way. Just Switch or Steam Deck handheld.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm on my recliner with it in front of me or in my bed with it in front of my face. I can't. Yeah. I feel like my neck would go numb before my hands did. Interesting. That's so interesting. All right. That's the topic. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. Had a lot of fun with that one. Next week's topic is going to be the first of the month, so it's going to be community questions. So if you have any questions you'd like us to respond to here on the show, please keep an eye out on the social medias, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff, and we will do our best to answer them on the show next week. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. And all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
There's a new Apple TV show called Manhunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Based on the video game?
Yes, based on the rock. No, of course not. It is a show entirely about the manhunt for John Wilkes Booth after the assassination of President Lincoln.
Oh wow, that sounds interesting.
And it's I've only seen the first episode so far, but it was incredible. Just top tier television making. Really into it. They do a good job in the beginning to remind you that like, hey, Abraham Lincoln was also like just a dude. Because he's like begging his friend to like, please come see this play with me. I do not want to be stuck with Mary's friends. It was such a bro moment. It was very interesting, but the show itself, like, is just it's great, and it was cool to see it dramatized that like John Wilkes Booth was a famous actor, in that part of the world, that town rather. So people are like so excited to see him and stuff. It's so weird to think about that and see. Yeah, but it's deeply compelling television.
Nice. Did you ever watch that Jason Segel show on Apple
Yeah,
TV?
Shrinking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's great.
That show's great. I'm ready for another season of that.
I
say Jason Segel and Harrison Ford is in that show. Like, far bigger actor, higher profile actor, and I didn't mention him first, but Jason Segel is the main character, to be fair. But,
right, yeah, it is definitely his show.
Right. Alyssa, how about you?
Well, okay, we need a sound for whenever I mention that I watched a K-drama as well, like a sound on the soundboard.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched one, and I also watched it through Apple TV.
Oh.
Called Strangers from Hell. I only watched it for 2 reasons. One was it had very high ratings. 2, it has Lee Dong-wook in it, which I love him. I love him. He's one of my favorite K-drama actors, and I really didn't know much about the show. This is very much a TVMA rated show, so do not watch it if you're underage. It is very messed up. It's very dark. It's not labeled a horror show, but I would say it falls under that category. It is labeled as a mystery thriller. But every episode is just so intriguing, and I didn't expect my mind to be twisted, and I didn't expect to have to think as much as I did while watching it. It was just so interesting, and Lee Dong-wook knocked it out of the park, because I was like, oh, he's a hot dentist. And I'm like, oh, something else other than a hot dentist. Okay. I feel bad for liking him now, but I still like his character. Like, it's like one of those times when you're not supposed to like the villain, but the villain is too attractive. You can't help but like him. But yeah, it's a very compelling show, even if you don't, simp over Lee Dong-wook. Very, very interesting. And
what does simp mean?
I don't know, thirst over whatever the kids say these days. Whatever the kids say. But yeah,
old, sorry.
Also kind of breaks away from traditional K-drama standards by being 10 episodes long, and each episode being around an hour, besides the last episode being an hour 5 minutes. Most episodes are way longer than that. But yeah, you can either watch it free on the Roku channel, but you'll have like 6 ad breaks per episode, or you can do it like I did, go on Apple TV Plus, and then they have like, how Prime has, you can get subscriptions to other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have a 1-week trial to basically a K-drama streaming service on there called CJENM Selects, and that is the only place I could find it without ads. I'm going to cancel the trial, but I just wanted to watch that show.
It feels like it might be wise for you to invest in a Korean streaming platform, no?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I'll be like, I'm saying I'll cancel it, but watch me not cancel it, because they have a lot of shows that aren't available anywhere else. So yeah, I'll probably keep it.
Say you're sucked. You're sucked in.
I am. It's all good. It's like I watch K-dramas every single night. Like, so.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Anyway, you can either watch it for free, but with a bunch of ads on Roku, or you can go the Apple TV Plus route, get a free trial, watch and cancel if you're not like super invested in K-dramas like I am. But it is really a worthwhile show to watch.
I saw the new Ghostbusters movie yesterday, and if you liked the first one, Afterlife, I think it was, with like the new, I don't know if you call it a reboot, but like I think you could call it a sequel.
It's called a soft reboot.
Yeah.
I guess it would be a legacy sequel, right?
Legacy sequel, yeah. And I liked it. I didn't like it as much as the last one. I know a lot of people complained about the direction of the last one. I actually kind of enjoyed it. But this one took a while to get going. I know that Zack will make fun of me for not being patient when it comes to watching movies, but I feel like the whole premise of the, New York being frozen, like, didn't happen until like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it felt like it to me, like last 20, 30 maybe minutes. I just kind of expected that to be an early thing.
I thought it was going to be in the first 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. But it took a while to get going, and it was fun. There was still too many like callbacks. Like, that's the thing now, is if they go back to the well with former movies and make new versions of it, they make little jokes that you would know if you saw the original. And
who are you gonna call?
Oh, that is quotes like almost the entire verse of the song, like he's like speaking it to her. It's pretty silly.
Oh,
I laughed though. I did laugh, but
yeah, see, they got that's why they put it in there.
And
you can feel tickled. You're like, haha, I understood that reference.
I really like. I forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but is it Kumail? He's a comedian.
I think it's Kumail Nanjiani.
Kumail Nanjiani. I didn't know he was in this movie, and my wife in particular found him to be really funny. He was a good addition. Silly. I really liked his character. So. Yeah. And they even the story feels very Keymaster, and I can't remember what the other one was. Gatekeeper and the Keymaster. They just kind of did the same story, just with different elements. It's like
I was just surprised to see a movie about ghosts where they freeze New York. That doesn't seem like something a ghost would do.
yeah, it seemed like a novelty.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
It seemed weird. I'm not a Ghostbusters fan, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If this is normal, if their ghosts can normally just destroy a city like that.
It has an interesting, like, ancient story. Like the actual movie opens in like at the firehouse in like 1904, and and there's something that an artifact that is ancient to them already that gets discovered later on in the current time. So it's fun. They do some interesting things that keep it fresh, but they do keep kind of going back. Like those little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men are in there again.
Oh yeah, the little itty bitty ones.
For some reason,
they're so cute.
Yeah, it's fun. So I sound like I'm giving a roaring recommendation here. It's a fun movie. I don't think I needed to see it in the theater. I should have waited, but I still had fun with it. So
better or worse than the 2016 movie?
Boy, don't get me into that argument. Because like I'm so tired of people saying, "Oh, I like the girl one better than this one," and if you like the Afterlife better than the girl one, you're wrong. And I just don't even engage in those conversations. I like both of them just fine. I thought they were both fun. They're both something different. I personally liked Afterlife better. I've gone back and watched that one more. I really like McKenna Grace as a Spangler. I think she does a really good job. And but I'm kind of over Finn Wolfhard or whatever his name is, the kid from Stranger Things. I'm just done with him. I just don't need to see him in anything anymore. Like, thankfully, he was kind of a minor role this time around.
Pretty brutal of a opinion on such a young actor. All right, man, your career's played out. I'm done with you.
It's not like it's just he plays the same cocky, better than you character in everything, and I'm just over it. He was sweeter when he was really young, like in the first season of Stranger Things, but it just then. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent on movies, so we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are the Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.